Chapter 135, Uninvited Guests 2, Shuer, you're awake. Lung Qingshan's mood immediately improved when he saw his precious granddaughter. Grandpa, why didn't you sleep a little more? Lung Ruoxue said with displeasure. Grandpa just came back. Why didn't he rest well? Hee, Grandpa is used to it and can't stay idle, Lung Qingtian said with a fawning face. He didn't want his granddaughter to be angry with him. Grandpa, is there something important? Lung Ruoxue noticed that her grandfather didn't look too good. It's okay. Grandpa will take care of it. Lung Qingtian didn't want his granddaughter to worry about him. Grandpa, you have to tell me if anything happens. Lung Ruoxue reminded. She really wanted to share the burden with her grandfather, but he refused to tell her, and she couldn't force him. Hee, don't worry. Grandpa won't be polite with you if there's really something that I can't solve, Lung Qingtian promised. Okay, Grandpa. Shuer is hungry. Go eat with me. Lung Ruoxue hugged her grandfather's arm affectionately. All right. Lung Qingtian and his granddaughter entered the dining room, only to find that they were the last to arrive. You stinky brats aren't as caring as my precious granddaughter. Lung Qingtian put on a stern face and pretended to be displeased. Grandpa, that's because we all know that Shuer would look for you. Lung Ruhen hurriedly stood up and walked to Lung Qingshan's side to curry favor. Yes, Grandpa. Aren't we all waiting for you? How can we dare to eat if you don't come? Freak came over as well, his beautiful face full of flattery. Hee, you stinky brats, I'm just teasing you. You must be hungry, right? Hurry up and eat. Then the two of them sat down in their respective seats. By the way, what do you think of the banquet in the Imperial Palace? Lung Qingtan asked his granddaughter and the others after breakfast. I don't want to go. Lung Ruoxue was the first to express her opinion. The Imperial Palace was too dark, and she didn't know what the Emperor was thinking, so it was better not to have anything to do with him. I'll listen to Shuer. Freak followed Shuer in everything. He was the 24-hour-day exemplary obedient fiancé. Grandpa, I don't want to go either. Lung Ruhan's handsome face looked thoughtful. What about you? Lung Qingtian turned to Fengde and the others. Since Miss isn't going, we aren't going either, Fengde said without hesitation. The palace wasn't his cup of tea. No, they can choose not to go, but the few of you must, Lung Qingtian said domineeringly. Wouldn't they be disrespecting the emperor if they didn't go? He was still the empire's general after all. Why? Fengde said gloomily with a long face. Because if you don't go, no one will, Lung Qingtian said matter-of-factly. So they were just going to make up the numbers. General, socializing isn't my forte. Really, don't make me go. I might embarrass you, our elderly, Fengde said pitifully, almost crying. Elderly? Am I that old? Lung Qingtan glared at Fengde. No, you're not old at all. I'm not good at talking, so don't make me go. Seeing that the volcano was about to erupt, Fengde hurriedly put out the fire and gave a suggestion. You must go. General Leng made the final decision, leaving no room for resistance. Mississippi. Fengde looked at Lung Ruoxue with a bitter face. Be good and eat more for us. Lung Ruoxue patted Fengde's head and comforted him like she was comforting a puppy with a bright smile on her face. Freak, accompany me to the academy. Lung Ruoxue turned to Freak. She should go and see Grandpa Lin. Okay. It was already evening when they arrived at the Heavenly Phoenix Academy. They entered the academy and went straight to the principal's office. Grandpa Lin. Lung Ruoxue knocked on the door. Ruoxue, why are you here so late? Lin Liang was surprised to see Lung Ruoxue and Yichen. I have something to tell Grandpa Lin. Lung Ruoxue went straight to the point. Oh, do you want to talk about not attending the academy? Elder Chiu had already reported to him after returning. Yes, we finished our task. Our focus will be on cultivating from now on, so we shouldn't be going to the academy anymore, Lung Ruoxue said very tactfully. Yes, you should cultivate diligently. Lin Liang approved of this point. Moreover, he also knew that it was unlikely that this girl would be restrained by the academy. By the way, Ruoxue Huqing, Lin Liang looked awkward and hesitant to speak. Grandpa Lin, I know that he wants to transfer to the Heavenly Phoenix Academy. He's not the only one. There are others. Lin Liang was very helpless. Who else? Leng Ruoxue was puzzled. There's also Southern Dusk's Crown Prince Huang Fulian, Shui Xinran, Northern Frost's Princess Ximenya, and Yi Shao. All of them want to transfer here, Lin Liang said with a slight headache. If the two best geniuses of the Rising Dragon Academy transferred to their academy, that old fellow at the Rising Dragon Academy would definitely hate him to death. Leng Ruoxue and Freak exchanged glances and said in unison, Grandpa Lin will have a way. I have no choice. He had a headache over this for the past 2 days. Ruoxue, Huaqing and the others are here for you. You can't just leave them alone. Lin Liang looked expectantly at the cunning girl. Grandpa Lin, they didn't come for me. I'm not going to the academy anymore. Even if they came for me, there's nothing I can do. Leng Ruoxue made it clear that she was irresponsible and didn't want to care about this matter. Ruoxue, can you give Grandpa Lin a good idea? Lin Liang said expectantly. He really didn't want to take in those people. Taking them in would mean trouble, but not taking them in would. Grandpa Lin, as long as you can convince Huaqing, the others are nothing to fear, Leng Ruoxue reminded kindly. All right, I'll try. Lin Liang really had no other way. All right. Grandpa Lin, did the Fu family and Vice Principal Qin do anything in the past month? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. Chapter 136, Uninvited Guests, 3. Chen Jian has been much more well-behaved recently. As for the Fu family, I heard they were robbed. Moreover, Fu Mingyuan has been looking for the whereabouts of Fu Mingzhu and the others, Lin Liang said after some thought. No one looked for trouble with Vice Principal Qin? Leng Ruoxue found it unbelievable. It seems he has a powerful background. A little at first, but they were all small families and didn't have much power. They became well-behaved after making a fuss once or twice, Lin Liang explained, knowing what Leng Ruoxue wanted to ask. Oh, Grandpa Lin, it's getting late. We're going to get going. Leng Ruoxue and Freak stood up and prepared to leave. All right. After leaving the principal's office, Leng Ruoxue and Freak walked along a quiet path toward the entrance of the academy. I want to talk to you, Su Nair said softly as she suddenly appeared in front of them. There's nothing much to talk about between us. Leng Ruoxue refused without hesitation, not even bothering to look at the pretentious Su Nair. I'm begging you. I really have something very important to discuss with you. Su Nair was so anxious that she was about to cry. Tears flashed in her eyes, and her pitiful appearance was really pitiful. Unfortunately, the two people in front of her were both hard-hearted. Get lost, Freak roared in displeasure. What does this woman want? Why is she so annoying like a fly? Senior brother Yi, I really want to have a good talk with Ruoxue. I mean no harm, Su Nair said aggrievedly as 2 streams of tears rolled down her cheeks. What do you want to talk about with me? Leng Ruoxue said impatiently, not wanting to see her continue acting. She actually wanted to know why Su Nair suddenly showed weakness, but she caught the viciousness and jealousy that flashed by in Su Nair's eyes. Ruoxue, I know that I did many things wrong in the past. Please forgive me and don't be angry with me anymore, Su Nair pleaded with a sincere expression on her face. What else? Continue, Leng Ruoxue urged. I won't snatch Big Brother Yu away from you anymore. Really, I promise that he will only belong to you from now on. I want to peer again. Woo-woo, Su Nair said while sobbing. Nair, I won't allow you to say that. Suddenly, a furious roar sounded in their ears. Leng Ruoxue, I will never marry you. Give up on this idea. The 7th prince appeared by Su Nair's side like a white knight. He hugged Su Nair and glared at Leng Ruoxue fiercely. 7th prince, did you take the wrong medicine? Did I say I want to marry you? Leng Ruoxue frowned, a little annoyed. What are these 2 good-for-nothings doing? She didn't have time to watch them put on this star-crossed lovebirds act in front of her. 7th prince, Schwer is my fiancée. She has had nothing to do with you since a very long time ago. Stop flattering yourself, Freak said with displeasure, his eyes shooting out a sharp glare. Do you think you can still marry her now? The 7th prince looked at Yi Chen mockingly. What do you mean? Lung Ruoxue asked coldly. Miss Lung is now very popular, and ordinary people can't marry you, the seventh prince said a little unpleasantly. His words seemed to carry a tinge of jealousy, but even he didn't realize it. Big brother you, don't talk about it anymore. I won't make things difficult for you, Su Nair said very understandingly. However, she hated Liu for coming out at this time to disrupt her plan. She secretly glanced at Yi Chen. Nair, I said before that I won't marry anyone but you. You have to believe me, Liu promised with a solemn expression on his face. Big brother you, don't be like this. Nair isn't blessed. You just have to treat Ruoxue well in the future, Su Nair pleaded, but she kept shouting in her heart, agree. Agree now. As long as she could get rid of the seventh prince, she could shift her target to Yi Chen. She only wanted to marry this heavenly man now. Nair, I only want you. I don't want anyone else but you, Liu vowed solemnly. Take your time acting. We're leaving. Lung Ruoxue couldn't stand watching any longer. She directly summoned Quill, jumped onto his back with Freak, and flew away. The two of them stared blankly at the black eagle that suddenly appeared and didn't come to their senses for a long time. By the time they reacted, Lung Ruoxue and Yi Chen were long gone. Big brother you'd better listen to your father. Let's not be together anymore. Su Nair only felt that she had nowhere to vent her anger, so her tone was especially cold. After speaking, she left without looking back. Nair, Liu watched Su Nair leave and couldn't help thinking of Lung Ruoxue, who was as dazzling as a goddess. He felt mixed emotions and was even more lost. After returning to the general's mansion, Lung Ruoxue and Freak immediately went to the study. Grandpa, what do you think about this? Lung Ruoxue asked Lung Qingtian after telling him what happened just now. He swear, this was expected. It's not surprising. Lung Qingtian was very calm. Seems like the imperial family is eyeing Shuer again. Do they really think that Shuer is still the Shuer of the past? Seventh Prince Liu is no longer worthy of my precious granddaughter. Grandpa, Yi Chen looked at Lung Qingtian aggrievedly, as though he wanted Lung Qingtian to uphold justice for him. Yi Chen, don't worry. Grandpa will only acknowledge you as my grandson-in-law, Lung Qingtian promised. Grandpa, if I'm not mistaken, the emperor will mention this to you tomorrow, Lung Ruoxue guessed. Shuer, even if the emperor doesn't mention it, others will. Don't worry. Grandpa knows how to deal with it. Then he'll leave this matter to Grandpa. I won't care about it, Lung Ruoxue said mischievously. Then what benefits will Grandpa get? Lung Qingtian asked cunningly. He happened to have a request for Shuer. What benefits does Grandpa want? Lung Ruoxue asked doubtfully. She knew something was bothering her grandfather. Is he finally willing to tell me? Chapter 137, Uninvited Guests 4. Shuer, Grandpa just wants you to help me think of a solution. Lung Qingtian explained the matter and looked at Lung Ruoxue expectantly. Grandpa, don't look at me like that. I'm going back to my room first. I'll tell you immediately when I think of something. Lung Ruoxue turned and left. Freak naturally followed closely behind. The next night, Lung Ruoxue, her brother, and Freak sat in a pavilion in the garden, enjoying a hot pot while chatting. Big brother, Grandpa and the others should be there already, right? Lung Ruoxue asked casually. She had never been to the imperial palace of the Eastern Lagoon Empire, nor did she want to go. Yes, they should be there soon. Shuer, I'm sure many people will be very disappointed that you didn't go today, Lung Ruhan teased. He had also heard about what happened yesterday. Big brother, I just want to be happy. How can I have the time to care about irrelevant people? Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Shuer, I've cooked this for you. Eat it. Freak kept feeding Shuer. Miss, someone is looking for young Master Yi. The steward walked over to report. Who is it? Freak said with some displeasure. Who would look for me? They are young Master Yes parents, the steward said anxiously. The visitor claimed to be young Master Yes parents, so he had no choice but to disturb them. Parents? My mother died when she gave birth to me. How can I have a mother? Yi Chen's eyes were like ice, and his expression suddenly became very vicious. Steward, ask them to wait in the living room, Lung Ruoxue ordered. Yes, Mississippi. The steward was frightened by Yi Chen's ferocity, and he immediately dashed away after hearing Lung Ruoxu's instructions. Freak, what happened? Lung Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. Even though he had been with them so long, Freak had never mentioned anything about his family, and she had never asked about it. In fact, she wouldn't have asked if not for the guests who suddenly came to visit. Every family had its difficulties, so she respected his privacy. Schwer, accompany me to take a look first. Send them away and I'll tell you later, Freak said with a cold face. Okay. Lung Ruoxue and Freak came to the living room together. When they entered the door, they saw a middle-aged couple sitting in chairs. Where's your young lady? Doesn't she know we're here? Why is she so rude? A good-looking middle-aged woman was being picky with displeasure. The steward standing beside her didn't even frown and directly ignored her words. Be quiet, the middle-aged man sitting beside her scolded. Husband, it's clear that they're neglecting us. Is this how the general's mansion treats guests? The middle-aged woman retorted, not taking the man's words seriously. Are you looking for me? Lung Ruoxue and Yi Chen walked into the living room casually. When the two people sitting in the chairs saw Lung Ruoxue, they were clearly stunned for a while before coming back to their senses. While they were lost in thought, Lung Ruoxue carefully examined the two. The man was handsome, and Freak did look a little like him. But his temperament was much worse, and his figure was a little chubby. As for the woman, her skin was slightly yellowish. She was good-looking, but she looked like a mean and bitter person. You are Lung Ruoxue? The middle-aged beauty said with a displeased face. Lung Ruoxue sat down on the main seat and said flatly, Yes. Then do you know who we are? How dare you treat us so lightly? The middle-aged woman rebuked, her nose almost flying into the sky. I heard you are my fiancé's parents? Lung Ruoxue asked with a faint smile. It's good that you know. But so what? Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Lung Ruoxue, what do you mean? The middle-aged woman stood up from her chair angrily and glared at Lung Ruoxue. Exactly what I said. Lung Ruoxue's eyes turned cold. She was getting impatient. Husband, look at Lung Ruoxue. What's with her attitude? We are her elders, yet she treats us like this. Husband, our Yi family can't have someone like this as a daughter-in-law. The middle-aged woman wailed at the man beside her. Nonsense. Do you think it's up to us? His Majesty bestowed the marriage. We can't refuse even if she's not good. The middle-aged man sounded a little helpless, but the corner of his eyes couldn't help sneaking a glance at his son. The guilt in his heart disappeared in a flash. For the sake of the family, he could only let his son down. Alas, he had no choice. Lung Ruoxue watched the two act with a faint smile, but she kept sneering in her heart. She didn't know why these two people suddenly came today, but she knew that nothing good would come of it. Then I'll go and beg His Majesty to cancel the engagement. Our Yi family can't afford to have such a daughter-in-law. The middle-aged woman thought for a while and seemingly suddenly made up her mind. In fact, this was the main reason why they came today. You want to break off the engagement? Lung Ruoxue couldn't help interrupting. Yes, the Yi family can't afford to have a daughter-in-law who doesn't respect her elders like you. We have to cancel the engagement, the middle-aged woman said loudly. No matter what, the engagement had to be broken today, or she wouldn't be able to explain it to her elder sister. What if I refuse? Lung Ruoxu's cold, beautiful eyes looked at the couple indifferently, and her tone was emotionless. I refuse as well, Yi Chen said with undisguised disgust on his face. What do these two think I am? They want to manipulate me? You don't have the right to refuse. Marriage matters must be left to your parents to decide, the middle-aged woman roared, her eyes full of contempt. Is that so? Yi Chen said indifferently, but his eyes were on his father. Chainer, listen to us on this matter. Lung Ruoxue really isn't suitable for you. I'll find you a better one in the future, the middle-aged man coaxed, but he said these words without much confidence. Alas, I hope Chainer listens to me. I didn't expect Lung Ruoxue to be a beauty who can topple nations. Chapter 138. We want to break off the engagement? 1. Find a better one? Can you find someone better than Shuer on the Ling Feng continent? Yi Chen laughed in anger. The middle-aged man stammered. So what if she's good? She's so disrespectful to her elders. If you really marry her, won't we need to serve her as though she's our ancestor? The middle-aged woman was obviously much more glib-tongued. So, you're saying that you want to cancel the engagement? Leng Ruoxue was annoyed. Why do these people always want to cause trouble for me? Yes, the engagement must be broken, the middle-aged woman said determinedly. And then? Is the emperor going to arrange another marriage again? Leng Ruoxue said casually. In fact, she had already sorted out the cause and effect after they revealed their intentions. How should I know? The middle-aged woman quickly denied, but her expression was a little flustered. What do you think, Freak? Leng Ruoxue turned to ask Freak, who was sitting beside her. Arranging and dissolving engagements as you please. What do you take us for? Freak said in an unfriendly tone. In fact, he knew very well that he and Shuer weren't people who liked to be controlled. Those people were really targeting the wrong people. Did you hear that? His words are exactly what I want to say. Leng Ruoxue's cold gaze swept over them, and the two of them immediately felt a chill run down their spines. Steward, see the guests out. Leng Ruoxue ordered. Yes, Mississippi. Please. The steward's tone was very unfriendly. What kind of parents were they? He had never seen such people in his long life. Seeing that they didn't achieve their goal, the two were embarrassed. Moreover, they were being asked to leave, so they instantly felt ashamed and were about to walk away. Wait! Yi Chen suddenly called out to them. Chaina. The middle-aged man looked at his son expectantly. Don't call me Chaina. I don't have a father like you. From today onward, I, Yi Chen, announce that I am leaving the family. I won't be a member of the Yi family anymore. Yi Chen looked at the middle-aged man coldly. Chaina, do you know what you're saying? The middle-aged man said furiously, his face alternating between blue and white, clearly extremely angry. Husband, don't stop him. If he wants to leave, let him leave. Let's see how he can gain a foothold on the Ling Feng continent without the protection of our Yi family. The middle-aged woman pretended to be angry, but she was overjoyed from the bottom of her heart. This thorn in her heart had finally gotten rid of himself. This was great. No one in the Yi family would snatch anything from her son in the future. I've thought about it very clearly, and I know what I'm saying. Leave and don't come back. I have nothing to do with all of you from now on, Yi Chen said coldly. Please leave, the steward said disdainfully. Shuer, let me hug you, Freak said pitifully when the two of them were alone in the living room. Okay. Leng Ruoxue was a little speechless as she allowed Freak to hug her, but she couldn't help feeling puzzled. For some reason, I always feel like I'm being taken advantage of. Shuer, actually, I don't have much feeling for that so-called father. If he didn't marry that woman to establish his position, my mother wouldn't have died, and I wouldn't have been poisoned since I was a child. You wouldn't have seen me if I hadn't been saved. Freak acted coquettishly again as he spoke. So pitiful. Leng Ruoxue caressed his head as though she was petting him. To be honest, she really couldn't imagine that he was sad given his tone. She wondered if she was being too unsympathetic. Shuer, you have to treat me better in the future. I don't have any other family apart from you, Freak said pitifully. His eyes welled up with tears, as though the water might spill out at any moment as long as Shuer didn't satisfy his request. I will be good to you, Leng Ruoxue coaxed helplessly. Isn't Freak going to tell me about his past? What's going on now? Oh, Freak, didn't you say that you wanted to tell me about your past? Continue. Leng Ruoxue urged. She was being wheedled on. She felt that this was dangerous because she was afraid that she would have no choice but to sign countless unfair treaties. I'm done. What else can I say? He looked at her with a face full of confusion. That's it. Leng Ruoxue was dumbfounded. Yes, and after I was saved, I continued to pretend to be sick. It wasn't easy for me to grow up safely. Freak's shiny black eyes looked at her with a few big words written in them. Pitiful. Come and pity me. He didn't care at all and pretended to be pitiful in front of the person he loved. Who saved you then? She asked curiously. I can't tell you now. You will know in the future. He kept her in suspense. Seeing how smug Freak was, Lung Ruoxue really wanted to bite him. But she was relieved to see that what happened just now didn't affect him. Freak, let's continue eating. She changed the topic. Yeah, I'm not full yet. Freak said with some dissatisfaction. He really didn't want to be disturbed by irrelevant people. When Lung Ruoxue and Yichen returned to the garden pavilion, Lung Ruhan was almost done eating. Shuer, Yichen, is everything okay? Lung Ruhan asked as they ate. It's okay. I've left the Yi family, Yichen said calmly. He casually picked up a piece of meat and cooked it in the hot pot. What? How did this happen? What happened? Lung Ruhan was surprised. Leaving your family was not a small matter. Moreover, leaving your family would mean that the family had given up on you, and you wouldn't be protected by the family in the future. They were here to cancel the engagement, Lung Ruoxue explained. Su Nair came to look for you yesterday, and today, the Yi family came here to break off the engagement. This is really, Lung Ruhan was speechless. When did the people of our Lung family become so easy to manipulate? Chapter 139. We want to break off the engagement. 2. Shuer, did they say they want to break off the engagement directly? Lung Ruhan was very curious. Their Lung family shouldn't be pushovers, right? No, they said that I was disrespecting my elders. Lung Ruoxue was speechless. What an excuse. Seems like this should be the emperor's idea. Shuer, some people are really unscrupulous in order to marry you. Lung Ruhan couldn't help teasing. But he could also see that Shuer and Yichen didn't seem to be affected. They must pay the price for scheming against me, Lung Ruoxue said unhappily. Hee, Shuer, how do you plan to deal with them? Lung Ruhan was a little curious. Those people really didn't have eyes. I'll discuss it with Grandpa when he comes back. After dinner, Lung Ruoxue's group of 3 waited until late at night, but Lung Qingtian and the others still weren't back. Big brother, why aren't they back yet? Could something have happened? Lung Ruoxue was a little worried and regretted not attending the banquet with her grandfather and the others. Don't worry. Nothing will happen. Grandpa is now a spiritual supremacy, and Thunder Knight is a divine beast. There really aren't many people who dare to touch Grandpa in the Eastern Lagoon Empire now, Lung Ruhan comforted. Yes, Lung Ruoxue agreed. Big brother, let's go back to our rooms to rest first. Lung Ruoxue continued. How long should they wait? Then let's go back to our rooms and sleep. Lung Ruhan said. He was also a little sleepy. Okay. The next day, after waking up, Lung Ruoxue washed up and planned to go to the study to find her grandfather. Mississippi. Lung Ruoxue met Fengde as soon as she entered the garden. Fengde, why did you come back so late last night? Lung Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. The banquet ended very early. But later, the emperor and the general spoke alone for a long time, Fengde complained. Miss, the general seems to be in a very bad mood. Fengde reminded softly after thinking about it. Oh. She had expected it long ago. Grandpa. Lung Ruoxue knocked on the door of the study. Shuer, come in. Shuer, was Yichen all right last night? Lung Qingtian asked with concern when he saw his granddaughter walk in. The steward had already told him. He's fine. But Grandpa, I heard you're not in a good mood. Lung Ruoxue probed. Shuer, the emperor really wants you to marry the 7th prince. He had a long chat with Grandpa yesterday. Lung Qingtian was speechless. The emperor even brought up the late emperor in order to convince him. It's his business what he wants. I won't let him tell me what to do. Lung Ruoxue was a little angry. Am I too weak? That damn stinky emperor really needs to be taught a lesson. Grandpa, don't meddle in this matter. Just leave it to me. Shuer, what do you intend to do? Lung Qingtian was really curious. Grandpa, it's better if you don't know. Lung Ruoxue said with evil intentions. After leaving Lung Qingshan's study, Lung Ruoxue went to find Freak. It's still better to cooperate with Freak to do something bad. Shuer, where are we going? Freak held Shuer's slender waist with one hand and took advantage of her openly on Quill's back. The Heavenly Phoenix Academy. Why are we going there? Didn't we agree not to go there anymore? Freak was slightly displeased. Huaqing was there, so he didn't want to go there. Go and settle the score with the seventh prince. I want to beat him up ruthlessly, Leng Ruoxue said wickedly. It would be difficult for her to dispel her anger if she didn't beat him up. Yes, beat him up. Beat him up hard. He raised both hands in approval of this idea, but, Shui, is beating him up enough? Freak said after some thought. What else? Leng Ruoxue looked at him with clear eyes. Castrate him, he proposed. That way, there's no way he can marry Shui and become the emperor. A few drops of cold sweat dripped down Leng Ruoxue's forehead. Why does Freak always like doing something so hardcore? What I mean is, let him be the same as the Hua family patriarch. He can see it but not eat it, Freak explained. This was the worst punishment for men. Okay then. Leng Ruoxue approved. Quill, land at the back door. Leng Ruoxue ordered. There were few people at the back door, so no one would notice. Yes, master. Quill went to the back door of the Heavenly Phoenix Academy, found an open space, and descended. Rise, cast an invisibility spell on us. Leng Ruoxue summoned Rise. Yes, master. Count me in on doing bad things, Rise volunteered, looking eager. Master, I want to go too, Dazzle said excitedly through voice transmission from the Heaven and Earth bracelet. Dazzle, you can't. Your claws are too obvious, and someone will discover you, Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. She was very afraid that Dazzle would use his claws to scratch someone like Darling had. She only wanted to trip the Emperor up in the dark now and didn't want to face him directly. Master, I'm not that stupid fox, Dazzle said aggrievedly while screaming in his head that he wanted to do something bad. Fine. Leng Ruoxue couldn't stand his pitiful appearance and had to let Dazzle out as well. After the two humans and two beasts became indivisible, they went straight to the unlucky seventh prince. When they found Li Yu in the main hall, no one else was there. Yi Chen rushed up to him and began beating him up as though Li Yu had killed his father. The seventh prince was beaten unconscious before he could even realize what was going on. So weak, Freak complained, not yet satisfied. He took out a pill and stuffed it into the seventh prince's mouth, then clapped his hands and returned to Shui. Shui, let's go, he said ingratiatingly. He felt much better. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded, and the two walked toward the door. Shui, where are we going? This wasn't the way back to the Leng residence. The Imperial Palace. She had yet to visit the Imperial Palace of the Eastern Lagoon Empire. All right, let's go and give that damn emperor some inhumane medicine, Freak said fiercely. These matters were caused by that damn emperor. If he didn't teach him a lesson, he would write his name backward. Chapter 140, We Want to Break Off the Engagement, 3, Still That Hardcore. Leng Ruoxue complained. Shui, where does the emperor live? Freak asked after they landed in the Imperial Garden. He wasn't familiar with the Imperial Palace. I'm going to meet the Empress first. Meet the Empress? Yes. Doesn't the Emperor want the seventh prince to be the next emperor? I won't let him get his way. Leng Ruoxue knew that the Empress and the Crown Prince had to hate what the damn Emperor was doing now. As the saying went, the enemy of the enemy was a friend, so cooperating with the Empress was the best choice. Relying on the map she got from her grandfather, Leng Ruoxue quickly found the Phoenix Algae Palace where the Empress lived. Freak, wait for me here. I'll go by myself. Leng Ruoxue motioned for Rise to dispel his invisibility spell and walked into the Phoenix Algae Palace openly. The Empress kept a very low profile. Apart from the guards outside the palace, there wasn't a single maidservant or guard in the entire palace. Who are you? The Empress, who was sitting and reading a book, forced herself to calm down and look at the girl who suddenly appeared in her palace. But she was startled in her heart. I am Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue said her name directly. It was obvious that this Empress was smart, or she wouldn't be so calm. You are Leng Ruoxue? You are indeed a rare beauty, the Empress said appreciatively. Her eyes kept looking up and down at the absolutely beautiful girl in front of her. With her alluring beauty, cold and noble temperament, and extraordinary strength, The seventh prince simply wasn't worthy of such a stunning woman. Seems that the emperor's wishful thinking won't be possible. Empress, you are also a rare beauty, Lung Ruoxue said honestly. The woman in front of her was indeed very beautiful, and it was a kind of intellectual beauty. As for her strength, this beautiful woman was unexpectedly a spiritual sovereign. This empress was really like a fresh flower stuck in cow manure. May I ask why Miss Lung is looking for me? The empress asked frankly with a smile. Why are you asking the obvious? I'm sure you know why I'm here. Lung Ruoxue threw the question back. Miss Lung, did you come because of the marriage with the seventh prince? The empress asked with certainty. Yes. Miss Lung, this matter was decided by the emperor. It's useless to look for me, the empress said helplessly. She was also thinking of ways to stop this matter, but she didn't have any good ideas. In fact, she was the most unwilling person to see the seventh prince marry the Lung family. You are mistaken, Empress. I came for this matter, but not entirely. I'm mainly here to find you to cooperate against our common enemy, Lung Ruoxue said candidly. Since they were going to cooperate, they needed to be sincere. How do you want to cooperate with me, Miss Lung? The empress asked directly. Smart people wouldn't lie, and they indeed had a common enemy. I wonder how far you're willing to go, Empress? Lung Ruoxue probed. I don't understand what you mean. I'm sure you can see that the emperor plans to abolish the crown prince and establish the seventh prince, Lung Ruoxue said bluntly. Yes. She had long seen through it. The emperor had been brewing such thoughts for quite some time. But the seventh prince's mother's family didn't have much power, so the emperor had never dared to act rashly. Since you know about it, why didn't you take precautions earlier? Lung Ruoxue really couldn't understand this woman's thoughts. He's my husband after all, the empress said helplessly. But he doesn't treat you as his wife. He's a man who spoils his concubines and neglects his wife, yet you still indulge him. Do you have to wait until he makes the first move before you wake up? Lung Ruoxue hated women who valued their husbands above all else. She was obviously a very smart woman, but she couldn't figure out emotional issues. You're right. I really have indulged him too much. In fact, when we first got married, we were happy, so I've always... The empress choked with emotion. Men are fickle-minded. I'm afraid he doesn't remember, Lung Ruoxue said mockingly. She had already learned about the damn emperor's character. What do you want me to do? The empress asked after calming herself down. It was time for her to plan for her son. Empress, you can express your disapproval of this matter, Lung Ruoxue reminded. But, the empress hesitated. If her objection was useful, she would have objected long ago. Empress, although your maiden family isn't comparable to the 5 great families, it's still the #1 family in the Eastern Lagoon Empire. As long as you object, the emperor will more or less take note of it. Lung Ruoxue analyzed. I'll try, the empress said after some thought. Then, Lung Ruoxue whispered her plan into the empress' ear. This won't do. It's too risky. The empress widened her eyes and looked at Lung Ruoxue in disbelief. This girl actually wants me to... Miss Lung, I think you still don't know about the old patriarch's existence yet, right? The empress asked, her heart racing. I know. Every imperial family has a spiritual supremacy behind them. She heard from her grandfather that the old patriarch of the Eastern Lagoon Empire was also a spiritual supremacy. Then how dare you want me to, Empress, if you don't even have the courage, then just wait to be eaten. Lung Ruoxue reminded lightly. She knew that the empress was afraid of the so-called old patriarch, but she didn't think that the old patriarch would start a killing spree over such a small matter. After all, the struggle for the throne was always bloody, and the old patriarch must have done similar things back then. Let me think about it, the empress said thoughtfully. When you've thought it over, send someone to look for me. Then Lung Ruoxue turned and left the Phoenix Algae Palace. Not far away from the Phoenix Algae Palace. Where did that damn freak go? Didn't we agree that he would wait here? Lung Ruoxue muttered to herself. How disobedient. He should be spanked. Schwer, are you thinking about me? Just as Lung Ruoxue finished thinking this, Freak's enchanting voice sounded in her ears, and his face was full of excitement. Master said she wants to spank you for being disobedient, Dazzle gloated while lying in Lung Ruox's arms. Chapter 141. We want to break off the engagement? 4. Schwer, do you really want to spank me? Freak asked pitifully. It would be unsightly to have his butt slapped. Boo. Lung Ruox's face was full of embarrassment. How could this little thing say what's in my mind? Where did you go? I went to drug him. Freak confessed his crime honestly. Oh. Lung Ruoxue didn't know what to say. He was really a man of action. Schwer, do you really want to spank me? Freak blinked his black eyes as if he was looking forward to it. No, he'll keep it on the account first and calculate everything together later. Lung Ruoxue felt a headache coming on. What kind of expression is he making? Oh. What oh? Let's go back, Lung Ruoxue roared. That oh sounds so strange. Yes, mistress. Freak answered obediently and hurriedly sat on Quill's back. The two quickly returned to the general's mansion. Miss, the Yi family is here again. The steward saw Lung Ruoxue return to the garden and hurried over to inform her. Why are they here again? Where are they? Lung Ruoxue frowned with annoyance. In the living room. I think the acting patriarch of the Yi family is here too, the steward said after some thought. Acting patriarch? Lung Ruoxue and Freak looked at each other in realization. They then went to the living room. Grandpa, do we have guests? Lung Ruoxue asked knowingly after entering the living room. Schwer, you're back. This is the acting patriarch of the Yi family, His Excellency Yi Ming. Lung Qingtian stood up and introduced them while shooting glances at his granddaughter. Hello, Your Excellency Yi Ming, Lung Ruoxue said indifferently while looking at the handsome, noble middle-aged man in front of her. The Yi family all have good skin. Hee, Miss Lung, I came specially to apologize today, Yi Ming said good-naturedly, his expression full of sincerity. Apologize? Apologize for what? Lung Ruoxue pretended to be puzzled, her beautiful face at a loss. What kind of drama is this? Our Yi family was rude to you yesterday. I came specially to apologize, Yi Ming said with a smile. Yi Tao, don't the two of you have anything to say to her? Yi Ming hollered at his cousin. This incompetent thing. My plans are going to be ruined by them. Sorry, we didn't consider it carefully yesterday. Don't worry. We won't break off the engagement. Yi Tao said in a low voice reluctantly. But he hated Yi Ming to the core. Damn it. He actually made me apologize to a junior. This made the prideful Yi Tao feel very embarrassed. I obviously can't count on the Yi family at all. But as a descendant of the Yi family, I still have to contribute to the prosperity of the Yi family. But Yi Tao felt extremely uncomfortable about this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have listened to his wife and turned to noble consort Fong. In this world, the standards for the offspring of side branches or concubines were actually very stringent. Although they might be part of the family, their status and position were not much better than the family servants, sometimes not even as good as outsiders. Moreover, when the children of side branches or concubines reached adulthood, they had to leave the family and live alone, and the family would only give a small sum of money to them. As for whether they could support themselves, the family wouldn't care. But if the family needed them for something, they had to help the family. If the offspring of side branches or concubines wanted to live a carefree life, they would need to have certain opportunities or be born with excellent aptitude, becoming superior to others. But it was very difficult for offspring with excellent aptitudes of side branches or concubines to grow up safely. And you? Yi Ming continued shouting. What happened yesterday was a misunderstanding. Don't take it to heart. Yi Tao's wife, Ming Fen, said with a smile. She was so affectionate that it was as if nothing had happened yesterday. Lung Ruoxue sneered as she watched the three of them put on an act while guessing their purpose for coming. They wanted to break off the engagement yesterday, but what about today? I've already broken ties with the Yi family, so there's no need for you to apologize, Yi Chen said coldly, not interested in their self-directed acting. Child, how can you say things like leaving the family so easily? This isn't good for your future. Remember, don't say it again. Yi Ming reprimanded him gently like an elder caring for a junior. his face full of disapproval. All right, we accept your apology. If there's nothing else, we'll be leaving first. Lung Ruoxue gave Freak a slight look. Hee, Ruoxue, we will be a family from now on. You also want our Yi family to become stronger, right? Yi Ming said hurriedly when he saw Lung Ruoxue preparing to leave. He lowered his stance and took the initiative to worm his way into being friendly with her. What exactly does Patriarch Yi Ming want to say? Just get straight to the point, Lung Ruoxue said bluntly. But her mind was racing. What does the strength of the Yi family have to do with me? All right, it'll be straightforward then. I heard that you have a few spots to enter the Creek of Affinity Mystic Realm. Can you give some to the Yi family? There's no need to give more than half. Of course, I won't let you suffer a loss. We will use money to buy them or exchange for them. Yi Ming looked at Lung Ruoxue anxiously, his heart racing. The spots were really too important to the Yi family. Otherwise, why would he be so submissive with his status? I used to have a few spots, but I've given them all away, Lung Ruoxue said after a while. So, it's because of the spots for the mystic realm. But she didn't expect someone to know that she had spots in her hands so soon. Wouldn't that mean other forces would also be coming? Who did you give them to? Yi Ming asked angrily. He didn't believe Lung Ruoxue at all. He even felt that she was refusing because she didn't want to give any to him. I'm sorry. I can't tell you. Lung Ruoxue smiled lightly. Lung Ruoxue, how can you casually give such important things to someone irrelevant? As a daughter-in-law of the Yi family, it's fine if you don't take the initiative to hand them over to the family, but you actually don't know how to plan for the family. Yi Minghe roared furiously. He was even angrier that he lowered his stance but gained nothing. Chapter 142, Change of Tide, 1. When did I become a daughter-in-law of the Yi family? Lung Ruoxue had a mocking expression on her face. Her eyes were deep, and she looked at the furious Yi Ming indifferently. What kind of person is he? He turned hostile immediately when he didn't achieve his goal. You will marry into the Yi family sooner or later. Aren't you a daughter-in-law of the Yi family? Yi Ming asked in return with a stern face. Who said I'm marrying into the Yi family? I'm not marrying into any family, Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. He's the one marrying in, Lung Ruoxue said domineeringly while pointing at Freak. Swear. Freak looked at Lung Ruoxue lovingly, his eyes saying, when will you marry me? Why? Do you think this is what a woman should say? Yi Ming was so angry that he almost fainted. Patriarch, I've already told you that our Yi family can't afford to marry Lung Ruoxue. Mingfen added oil to the fire and mocked him. He deserves it. Yi Ming used his identity as the patriarch to force us to apologize. In the end, it was all for naught. Huh? Yi Mingfen laughed hysterically in her head. Shut up. Yi Ming scolded with a dark face. This woman clearly wanted to see him make a fool of himself. Patriarchy is also considered a powerhouse, so of course you look down on women. But Lung Ruoxue looked at Mingfen, who was causing trouble, and stopped speaking. But what? But you shouldn't be too fond of women. You might regret it in the future. Lung Ruoxue reminded him out of goodwill. I have never believed that a woman would dare to ride on my head. Yi Ming said coldly. Then he flicked his sleeves and left. Yi Tao and his wife left quickly after him. Before leaving, Mingfen glared at Yi Chen fiercely. So rude, Lung Ruoxue murmured with some displeasure. It's good that Yi Ming didn't die of anger. Do you still want him to be polite? Lung Qingtian said speechlessly. Swear, we've offended the Yi family this time. You have to be careful. Lung Qingtian said worriedly. Don't worry, Grandpa. They'll be careful. Grandpa, the Yi family already knows that I have spots in my hand. I believe other families will come knocking on my door soon. If anyone looks for me, just tell them that I'm in seclusion and that I've given the spots away, Lung Ruoxue said after thinking about it. In fact, she still had a few spots in her hand after giving them to her grandfather and brother, but she planned to keep them as backup. Okay. Lung Qingtian nodded. After Lung Ruoxue and Freak left the living room, they went to look for Fengde, said a few words to him, and then left. Freak, I'm going into seclusion tomorrow. Don't disturb me unless it's something particularly important. Lung Ruoxue said to Freak from the entrance of the listening snow pavilion. All right. Freak looked at Lung Ruoxue bitterly. Boo. Lung Ruoxue returned to her room and entered the heaven and earth bracelet. Girl, you're here? The butterfly Lung Ruoxue threw into the heaven and earth bracelet flew over and stopped in front of her. Big sister. Little Fong Fong and Blaze also ran over and climbed directly onto Lung Ruoxue. You're all so big now. How can Big Sister carry all of you at once? Lung Ruoxue laughed. Since they were locked up to cultivate obediently, these little fellows had advanced to level 1 holy beast. Their small bodies had grown quite big, and they were as strong as a small mountain. She couldn't carry them like before. Girl. The ignored butterfly was unhappy and glared at Lung Ruoxue. Go and play by yourself. There are so many flowers and trees over there. That's enough pollen for you to collect, Lung Ruoxue reminded. Collect pollen? I don't collect pollen. I am a sprite. A sprite. The butterfly roared furiously. It was very angry and the consequences were serious. This girl actually compared me to those low-level creatures. She is really too much. The butterfly found it intolerable. Don't collect pollen? You can collect honey then. Go quickly. Lung Ruoxue said in realization. I won't collect honey either. The butterfly wilted and squatted in a corner to draw circles. Qing Ju, I'm going to cultivate. Call me if anyone outside is looking for me, Lung Ruoxue said to Qing Ju, who was not far away. Okay, big sister. Lung Ruoxue then entered the purple bamboo house. The garden of the general's mansion was blooming with flowers of all colors. Hey, what's wrong with Yichin? Fong Moran, who came from the Fong family residence, patted Fong Dao in puzzlement. Why does this fellow look listless and ignoring others? Miss went into seclusion, so Deputy Leader Yi became this way, Fong Dao explained weakly. Recently, Deputy Leader Yi had been sitting alone in the garden in a daze. Shuer went into seclusion? Fong Moran said in surprise. No wonder he didn't see her. But why did she go into seclusion so quickly? Probably annoyed by the visitors, Fong De guessed. There were always people coming to see their young lady every day ever since they returned from lunar capital. Alas. Yeah, Shuer is indeed afraid of trouble, Fong Moran said understandingly. He more or less understood her temper after being with her for so long. Oh right. Deputy Leader Fong, Miss asked me to help her buy a shop. Can you accompany me to discuss it? What for? Fong Moran was puzzled. Does Shuer want to do business? Miss wants to open a restaurant, Fong De explained. He had already seen the location, but he hadn't managed to negotiate the price down. Does Shuer have time to manage it? Restaurants were very troublesome, so Fong Moran was really curious. There's us. Fong De said with a grin. Oh. Fong Moran nodded. He really couldn't understand why Shuer wanted to open a restaurant. She wasn't short of money. Deputy Leader Fong, let's go. Okay. After they left, Yichin sat alone in the garden, looking up at the sky. Lung Ruoxue cultivated day and night in the purple bamboo house, and she accelerated time by 100 times. Unfortunately, her strength was far inferior to her master's. Otherwise, her strength would absolutely rise to a higher level if she accelerated time by 10,000 or even 1,000,000 times. Chapter 143, Change of Tide, 2. Big Sister, Yichin is looking for you. Qing Ju called out softly from outside the purple bamboo house. Got it. Even though Lung Ruoxue was cultivating, she hadn't completely sealed her divine sense, so she could hear what Qing Ju said. Lung Ruoxue exited the heaven and earth bracelet and opened the door to see the haggard-looking Freak standing outside. Shuer. Freak hugged Lung Ruoxue tightly and excitedly. What happened to you? Did someone bully you? A drop of sweat rolled down Lung Ruoxue's forehead. What's going on? I missed you. I only went into seclusion for a few days. Lung Ruoxue was helpless. If I went into seclusion for a year or so, would he not be here anymore? Someone is looking for you, Freak said with dissatisfaction. He was very dissatisfied with Shuer's reaction. Boo. Shuer didn't even miss me. Who's looking for me? Lung Ruoxue asked doubtfully. Someone sent by the Empress. Oh, let's go take a look. Lung Ruoxue and Yi Chen walked into the living room. A young woman sitting in a chair immediately stood up and bowed to them when she saw them. Miss Lung. You are. Lung Ruoxue looked at the woman in her early 20s. This woman had a beautiful face, snow-white skin, a gentle personality, and a good temperament. Her first impression of her was good, and she was an intermediate spiritual monarch. I am Mo Ingyue. Mo Ingyue said softly while looking at Lung Ruoxue curiously. Mo Ingyue? Lung Ruoxue frowned in thought. I was too rude. Crown Princess is gracing us with her presence. Lung Ruoxue suddenly realized why she felt that this name was familiar. You flatter me. It was Imperial Mother who asked me to look for Miss Lung, Mo Ingyue said calmly. Yes, has the Empress decided? Lung Ruoxue asked in realization. It was enough to show the Empress sincerity since she sent the Crown Prince's wife. Yes. Mo Ingyue nodded. This was a serious matter, which was why she was sent here. In that case, look for me when you are ready. I will cooperate with you then, Lung Ruo said without hesitation. Okay, Miss Lung. Then I'll take my leave. Mo Inke finished her task, so she didn't stay any longer. After Mo Ingyue left, Lung Ruoxue went to the study. Grandpa. Why is my Shuer here? Weren't you in seclusion? Lung Qingtian was a little surprised. Grandpa, do you want to enter seclusion? Or you can leave Phoenix City and go somewhere else, Lung Ruoxue suggested. There was going to be a big movement in Phoenix City soon, and she didn't want her grandfather to be in a dilemma. Shuer, are you hiding something from Grandpa? Lung Qingtian looked at his granddaughter suspiciously. Yes, there is. But I don't intend to let Grandpa know, so Grandpa, you should leave Phoenix City and stay somewhere else for a while. Lung Ruoxue said honestly without denying it. Her grandfather would definitely not let her go when he returned if she really fooled him. Do you really need Grandpa to leave so badly? Lung Qingtian confirmed expressionlessly. But he was thinking in his heart, is Shuer going to make a move? It seems that she has been provoked by someone. Okay, Grandpa, don't worry about the soldiers you told me about. Your granddaughter has arranged everything, Lung Ruoxue added to reassure her grandfather. Well, all right then. I'll go and visit my old friends. Lung Qingtian said aggrievedly. Ooh, my granddaughter has grown up and doesn't need me anymore. Grandpa, don't be like this. It's not like you won't be coming back. Lung Ruoxue had a few black lines on her forehead, and her beautiful face was full of helplessness. Shuer, what did you arrange for those soldiers? Lung Qingtian couldn't help asking curiously. He didn't expect Shuer to think of a way so quickly. I've treated their injuries, and am preparing to open a restaurant to let them support themselves, Lung Ruoxue explained simply. Ever since her grandfather told her that the disabled soldiers under him were forced to do dangerous things, she had been thinking of a way to help them. It was not that she was compassionate, but it was because these people were once her grandfather's subordinates. She didn't want to see him frowning all day for them, so she made a move. She wouldn't care if it was someone unrelated. There were many pitiful people in the world, and she couldn't manage to help them all. Shuer, Grandpa thanks you on their behalf, Lung Qingtian said happily. Alas, there were more than 100 people. It must have been tough on Shuer. Grandpa, they shouldn't be thanking me but you. Lung Ruoxue didn't dare to take the credit. Everything she did was for her grandfather. You silly girl. All right, Shuer, when do you need Grandpa to leave? As soon as possible. Whenever you're ready you should leave, Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. The Empress should need some time to prepare. All right, Grandpa will leave tomorrow then. Lung Qingtian said straightforwardly. He felt much more relaxed now that the matter that had been weighing on his mind had been resolved. Okay. The next day, Lung Qingtian reluctantly left the general's mansion. Half a month later, in the garden of the general's mansion. Shuer, Mo Ingyue is here. Feng Moran walked into the garden. Mo Ingyue had come several times in the past half a month, so almost everyone knew her. Let her come here. She was lying comfortably on a recliner with her head on Freak's leg, enjoying him feeding her. She was even holding 2 little foxes, one black and one white. And on her snow-white wrist was a golden snake-shaped bracelet. She looked like a noble queen no matter how you looked at it. Okay. Fong Moran smiled and left. Fong Moran soon returned with Mo Inoue behind him. Sister Ruoxue really knows how to enjoy life. Handsome men surround you, Mo Inoue said enviously when she saw the handsome men beside Lung Ruoxue. After coming here a few times, she was already very familiar with her. Big sister Mo can do it too, Lung Ruoxue teased. 2 drops of cold sweat rolled down her forehead uncontrollably. Where are the handsome men? There's only Freak and my biological brother. Chapter 144, Change of Tide, 3. I don't have the guts, Mo Inoue quickly said. If these words reached the Crown Prince's ears, she would. That's true. The Crown Prince is a jealous lover. Lung Ruoxue expressed her understanding and sympathy. Ruoxue, almost all the preparations are done. Mo Inoue glared at Lung Ruoxue gently and sat down beside her. She went straight to the point. In the past half-month, they had made thorough preparations. Moreover, the hottest news in Phoenix City now was probably related to the imperial family. Alas. Okay, let's do it tonight. Lung Ruoxue nodded, finally deciding on the time. Tonight? Why the rush? Mo Inoue was puzzled. There's no better time than today. Today is a good day, Lung Ruoxue said somewhat charlatan-like. Tonight, I will avenge the death of the silly Ruoxue. As for Su Nair, she's next. Alright, they'll listen to you. I'll go back and prepare first, Mo Inoue said as she stood up. I'll see big sister Mo out, Lung Ruoxue said as she also stood up. No need. We're sisters. There's no need to be so polite, Mo Inoue quickly said. Lung Ruoxue didn't stand on ceremony after hearing Mo Yingyu's words. She looked at Fong, then Big Brother Fong, help me send big sister Mo off. She still had a good impression of Mo Inoue. Moreover, Mo Inoue wanted to befriend her wholeheartedly. Freak, let's go to the palace to play tonight. Lung Ruoxue then looked at Charm and Dazzle hesitantly. Master, I want to go too, Dazzle yelled, unwilling to be left out. Master, let him accompany you. I will stay to protect the general's mansion, Charm said very sensibly. All right then. Seeing Charm being so understanding, Lung Ruoxue cherished him even more. In fact, she knew that Charm was always giving in to Dazzle because Charm felt that the fox race owed Dazzle. Alas. What a little fool. In the middle of the night, Lung Ruoxue and Freak sneaked into the palace. At this time, everyone was sleeping soundly, and there were only routine guards and maidservants on night watch. But these people had long been bribed by the Empress, so they turned a blind eye when they saw her and Freak swaggering into the palace. Ruoxue here. Mo Inoue was waiting for them outside the Phoenix Algae Palace. Big sister, let's begin. Lung Ruoxue said directly after seeing Mo Inoue. Okay Ruoxue. Let's split up. Mo Inoue nodded. Remember to leave the 7th prince for me, Lung Ruoxue reminded before taking action. Don't worry. He's yours, Mo Inoue promised. The poor 7th prince was going to be in trouble. She knew that Lung Ruoxue would never let him off easily. Lung Ruoxue and Freak arrived at the emperor's sleeping chamber. Apart from the guards at the door, there were no eunuchs or maidservants in the room. This emperor sure is gutsy. Isn't he afraid that someone will come and kill him? Or is he too confident in his secret guards? Unfortunately, his secret guards have already gone to see their ancestors, Lung Ruo thought as they walked into the inner hall. Don't look. Freak hurriedly covered Lung Ruoxue's eyes with his hands. Freak, what are you doing? Lung Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. What's wrong with him? Swear, don't open your eyes. You will get a sty if you look. Lung Ruoxue removed Freak's hands covering her eyes and glared at him before turning her gaze to the bed. Isn't it just a few naked people? Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly while looking at Freak in disdain. This emperor is really perverted. It's actually a foursome. But can he still perform? Didn't Freak drug him? Swear, his figure isn't good, Freak said aggrievedly, his eyes brimming with tears. Wake him up. Lung Ruoxue ignored his pitiful appearance. Business was more important. She handed him a black scarf and covered her face with one, revealing only her beautiful eyes. It's important to create an atmosphere. Okay. Freak wrapped the scarf around his head, stretched out his hand, and gently released a tread of spiritual power at the Emperor's body. Who are you? Guards. Emperor Li Sun opened his eyes and yelled when he saw the two masked people by the bed. But his voice was immediately cut off by Lung Ruoxue. We're here to negotiate a deal with you. Don't be afraid. As long as you behave, we won't kill you, Lung Ruoxue comforted kindly. What deal? Li Sun said with his eyes. The might exuded by these two people was too strong. Even though he was an elementary spiritual sovereign, he was a little scared, so he didn't dare to act rashly. I won't kill you as long as you write an edict to abdicate now and pass the throne to the crown prince. As for whether the crown prince would kill him or not, she didn't care. Don't even think about it, Li Sun's angry eyes said no. Then die. Lung Ruoxue got a knife from who knows where and slashed at Li Sun. All right, Li Sun said with his eyes. He was very afraid of death and had no choice but to give in. He, a mighty spiritual sovereign, actually met a day when he was forced like this. He really hated it. Good boy. Lung Ruoxue threw him a scroll and a writing brush. Li Sun picked up the writing brush with a trembling hand and was just about to write the first word when Lung Ruoxue stopped him. Stop shaking. Lung Ruoxue glared at Li Sun in displeasure. Damn Emperor, you asked for it? Originally, she didn't even want to deal with Li Sun. But Li Sun, who couldn't speak, nodded nonstop. He composed himself and then slowly wrote the edict. After Li Sun finished writing the edict, Lung Ruoxue checked and confirmed that there was no mistake. Then she threw a pill into his mouth. Crown Prince, you can come in now, Lung Ruoxue said softly when she heard the footsteps outside. Imperial Father, I've wronged you. At this moment, a handsome man in a bright yellow dragon robe walked in with large strides and took the edict from Lung Ruoxue. Thank you. Crown Prince Li Yuan ignored Li Sun's angry gaze and spoke to Lung Ruoxue and Freak. There's no need to thank me. Just remember not to have any designs on me, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. Li Yuan was quite perceptive and smart. His aptitude might not be as good as Li Yes, but he was more suitable to be emperor than him. Chapter 145, Change of Tide 4. Okay. Li Yuan nodded, his mind racing. How would he dare to have any ideas about such a great person? He wasn't tired of living. Just like that, this palace robbery to seize the throne that was supposed to be bloody was quietly completed under Lung Ruoxue's planning. Ruoxue, this is for you. It's the seventh prince you wanted, Emoingyue said as she threw a fainted dumpling over. Lung Ruoxue looked at the seventh prince, who had been tied up into a dumpling and thrown on the ground, with a face full of black lines. The seventh prince, who was loved and doted on, probably never dreamed of such an end, right? But he was already unconscious. Was there a need to tie him up like this? Crown Prince, you're not allowed to bully Big Sister Emo, otherwise I won't let you off, Lung Ruoxue said threateningly. Although she hadn't known Emoingyue for long, Emoingyue could be considered her only female friend. How would I dare? Li Yuan teased and glanced at his beloved wife with a bitter look. That's good. Okay, we're leaving. With that, Lung Ruoxue motioned for Freak to pick up the seventh prince, and then the two of them disappeared into the pitch-black night. Not far from the palace, Lung Ruoxue and Yi Chen were stopped by someone. Who are you? Lung Ruoxue asked cautiously as she looked at the lanky old man in green cotton clothing blocking their way. This old man was actually a spiritual supremacy. Besides, if she and Freak hadn't decided to walk back, this old man really wouldn't have been able to stop them. Everyone calls me Old Patriarch. The lanky old man sighed softly. His slightly turbid eyes stared straight at Lung Ruoxue with a sharp glow because he was really curious. How could this little girl be so bold? Old Patriarch? The Old Patriarch of the imperial family? Lung Ruoxue looked at the old man doubtfully. It seemed like this Old Patriarch of the Eastern Lagoon Empire's imperial family already knew what they did. Otherwise, he wouldn't have approached her. But so what if he found her? The throne still belonged to their Li family. It was just a different person. Little girl, you have good eyesight. However, you're quite gutsy. You actually dared to help the crown prince usurp the throne. The old man said expressionlessly, making it impossible to see his emotions. Thank you for your compliment. I'm just doing what I think is right. It's not worth mentioning, Lung Ruoxue said shamelessly. She didn't feel that there was anything wrong with her helping the crown prince seize the throne. But she was thinking in her heart, you called yourself the old patriarch. I would really be a simpleton if I couldn't guess it. But what does this old man want from me? Revenge for his grandson? Little girl, what do you think I should do with you? The old man asked, seemingly in a dilemma. That's easy. Let us go, and we'll go head home to sleep, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. This old man didn't seem to be here to avenge his grandson because he didn't deliberately release his might. Little girl, the Eastern Lagoon imperial family changed dynasties overnight because of your involvement. Are we going to let this matter rest? The old man saw Lung Ruoxue pretending to be stupid, so he simply said it clearly. This little girl's ability to pretend to be stupid was even better than Lung Qingshan's. One of them was a cunning old fox, and the other was a little fox, and they were both very difficult to deal with. Isn't it normal to change dynasties? Anyway, they are both from your Li family. Is there a difference who sits on the throne? Moreover, don't you think Li Yuan is more suitable for the throne than Li Sun? The throne will be Li Yuan's sooner or later since he's the crown prince. It's just that it's ahead of schedule, Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Of course, she had thought about all the possible consequences very clearly since she dared to make the move. Moreover, she didn't think that the old patriarch of the imperial family would be angry over something like seizing the throne. People in such high positions had experienced things like seizing power. So I have to thank you. The old man rolled his eyes speechlessly. This little girl is really sharp-tongued. There's no need to thank me. It's good enough as long as you don't find trouble with me nor don't blame me for being nosy, Lung Ruoxue said very calmly. This old man really knows how to pretend. He obviously didn't want to bother about this matter, but he still looked for me. Could it be that he wants a spot for the mystic realm? Nosy? Would you meddle in other people's affairs? It's all because Li Sun pissed you off. The old man's forehead dripped with cold sweat. This little girl's skin is really extraordinarily thick. Is there anything else? If not, I'm going home to sleep, Lung Ruoxue reminded. Little girl, aren't you afraid that I will kill you? The old man was depressed. Why wasn't this little girl afraid of him at all? His descendants were like mice seeing a cat when they saw him. All of them were afraid of him. Not afraid. If you wanted to kill me, you would have done so by now. Would you still say so much nonsense to me? Lung Ruoxue asked in return. She was still confident about this. This old man probably found Li Sun not pleasing to the eye a long time ago. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to appear only after they succeeded. In fact, Lung Ruoxue was right. He was a spiritual supremacy, so the Empress and the others couldn't hide what they did from him. But he didn't stop them, indirectly agreeing to their actions. Little girl, I've lived for so long, but I've never seen someone as confident as you, the old man said with admiration and regret. Alas, why isn't there someone like Lung Ruoxue among my descendants? I would be able to worry less that way. It's a must to have confidence, Lung Ruoxue said proudly. Old man, if there's nothing else, I'm really going home to sleep, Lung Ruoxue added. In other words, she was tired and didn't want to chat with him anymore. Sai, go. The old man shook his head helplessly. He could also tell that this girl didn't want to have anything to do with the imperial family, so he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. He would say it again when he had the chance in the future. The old man moved to the side to make way. Lung Ruoxue and Freak walked straight over. The old man also chose to ignore Li Yu, whom Freak was carrying. After returning to the general's mansion, Lung Ruoxue and Freak handed Li Yu to Feng De and instructed him to lock Li Yu up in the dungeon before returning to their rooms to sleep. Chapter 146, Su Neersen, 1. Early the next morning, Lung Ruoxue got up, washed up, left her room, and went straight to the dining room. Mississippi. Everyone greeted Lung Ruoxue as she entered the dining room. Morning. Lung Ruoxue nodded and sat down in her seat. Why is breakfast so sumptuous today? Lung Ruoxue was a little surprised. Can they really eat this much? Miss, these are all made by Big Brother Wang and the others. They are the fruits of their learning these days, and they made them for you to grade their work, Feng De said with a smile. The Big Brother Wang he was talking about was one of those disabled soldiers. During this period of time, their young lady had arranged for them to learn how to cook from the chefs in the mansion. After the restaurant opened in the future, they would naturally be the chefs of the restaurant. They look good. Let me try them. Lung Ruoxue picked up a piece of almond pastry and took a bite. The almond flavor was very rich, crispy, and not very sweet. She then tried the other snack dishes separately. Not bad. Breakfast passed. Lung Ruoxue nodded in satisfaction. She had carefully selected these future chefs, and they were all very talented in cooking. They really didn't disappoint her. Big Brother Wang, did you hear that? Feng De suddenly shouted. Just as Feng De finished speaking, 20 people walked in. The middle-aged man leading the group knelt down in front of Lung Ruoxue, and the people behind him followed suit. Thank you for your kindness, miss, the middle-aged man said gratefully. I said before, don't kneel down casually, Lung Ruoxue reminded. We don't know how to thank miss for your kindness, so please don't decline, the middle-aged man said stubbornly. All right, just this once. There won't be a next time. Lung Ruoxue understood how they felt, but she hadn't thought of asking them to repay her when she helped them. Feng De, the decor of the restaurant should be almost finished, right? Lung Ruoxue asked after Big Brother Wang and the others left. Miss, don't worry. It won't affect the grand opening. It will be completed in a week at most, Feng De explained. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded. She was very confident in Feng De. Feng De, when you're done here, go out and experience the world. Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. She had planned this some time ago. But in order to help the soldiers under her grandfather, the training experience of Feng De and the others was temporarily postponed. Okay, Feng De quickly replied. After he was finished here, he would lead a team to do mercenary missions and try to make the Blazing Flame mercenary group in rank mercenary group. After breakfast, Lung Ruoxue and Feek went to the dungeon. As soon as she entered the dungeon, a pungent stench assaulted her nose. She covered her mouth and nose and looked around. The dungeon was much cleaner than she had imagined. But because it was dark, damp, and windless, the dim dungeon had a moldy smell. The two quickly walked to the cell where 7th Prince Liu was locked. Liu was still tied up into a dumpling and thrown on the ground very casually. Lung Ruoxue looked at the unconscious Liu and hit him with her spiritual power without hesitation. Ah, it hurts. Liu slowly woke up from his coma due to the pain. He looked around in confusion. Why am I here? His head hurt. Lung Ruoxue, why are you here? When his gaze landed on Lung Ruoxue standing not far away, yesterday's memories flooded into his mind. Yesterday. What did you do? What did you do to me? How dare you? Liu roared hysterically. He found it unbelievable that what happened last night was true. How could he, the dignified 7th Prince, be tied up like a dumpling and locked in this godforsaken place? No, he didn't want to stay here. He wanted to go out. He was the 7th Prince, the talented 7th Prince. He couldn't stay here. Do you still think you are the noble 7th Prince? You are only my prisoner now. Lung Ruoxue smiled disdainfully. This 7th Prince might have good aptitude, but he was really not cut out to be an emperor because he couldn't discern situations clearly. What did you do to me? What about my mother? She won't allow you to treat me like this, and neither will Imperial Father. They won't let you go, the 7th Prince threatened. They can't even protect themselves, so they don't have the time to care about your life or death. Lung Ruoxue really didn't want to break this child's daydream, but she had no choice. She was an honest person. What do you mean? Could the Crown Prince have also attacked them? No, that's impossible. The Crown Prince isn't so bold. You're lying to me, aren't you? The seventh prince stared at Lung Ruoxue expectantly, wanting to see the panic on her face when her lie was exposed. Unfortunately, the current emperor of the Eastern Lagoon Empire is Li Yuan, Lung Ruoxue said indifferently. No, you're lying to me. It's not true. He didn't want to believe Lung Ruoxue's words at all. He believed that the crown prince would want to get rid of him, but was it possible that the crown prince wouldn't even let their imperial father go? It's up to you to believe it or not. Lung Ruoxue had always looked down on people who refused to face reality. Let's go. Lung Ruoxue turned to Freak. Okay. Wait. Li Yu hurriedly called out to stop them just as they were about to leave the cell. What? Is there something else? Lung Ruoxue asked impatiently with a slight frown. I want to know how my mother is, Li Yu asked after some hesitation. What do you think will happen to her? Lung Ruoxue asked in return. Li Yuan might not kill his father, but he would never let that woman go. After speaking, Lung Ruoxue pulled Freak away and left the cell, leaving Li Yu in a daze. Swear, are we just going to lock him up like this? Freak asked in puzzlement after exiting the cell. He thought Schwer would teach that annoying fellow a ruthless lesson. Chapter 147, Su Nayers and 2. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. He can't run away, so what's the rush? Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. That Li Yu currently didn't have consciousness as a prisoner. Therefore, she planned to imprison him for a few days to grind his will before slowly dealing with him. Okay. By the way, Freak, didn't you drug Li Sun? Why could he still? Lung Ruoxue suddenly asked, her face full of curiosity. Yes, but that medicine has an effective period of at most 10 days, Freak explained with a devious smile. The effective period isn't important. What's important is the effect. 10 days is enough to strike a man's confidence. Oh, I see. But your medicine lasts too short. When I have time, I'll research it to create one that has a permanent effect, Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Permanent? Who do you intend to give it to? Cold sweat rolled down Freak's forehead. But as long as it wasn't him, it didn't matter who it was. To whoever offends me, Lung Ruoxue said unscrupulously. Ah. Have I led Schwer astray? They spoke as they walked and soon arrived at the garden. Big brother Feng, Lung Ruoxue greeted them when she saw them playing chess. Schwer, where did you go? Lung Ruhan couldn't help asking when he saw his sister. The dungeon. Schwer, that kind of place isn't suitable for girls. Lung Ruhan frowned. Okay, I won't go there all the time. Lung Ruoxue nodded obediently. I will only go there occasionally to teach Li Yu a lesson. Schwer, what do you plan to do with Li Yu? Lung Ruhan asked curiously. Of course, I'll give him a taste of his own medicine. He has to try all the treatments I received back then, Lung Ruoxue said fiercely. She said that she would avenge the silly Ruoxue, so of course she couldn't go back on her words. Schwer, it doesn't matter how you torture him, but Big Brother thinks it's best if you don't kill him, Lung Ruhan suggested. After all, Li Yu was a member of the imperial family, and Lung Ruhan didn't want anyone to make an issue out of it. Even though no one knew that Li Yu had been locked up in the general's mansion for now, it was hard to guarantee that the news wouldn't leak over time. Moreover, this could be considered a scandal of the imperial family. Who knew when the imperial family would use this as an excuse to fall out with them? Big brother, don't worry. I won't kill him. Lung Ruoxue calmed him. She would kill Su Nayer instead if she wanted to kill anyone. Although Li Yu was despicable, he didn't deserve death. That's good. He felt relieved upon hearing his sister say this. Li Yu should be taught a lesson for treating his precious sister like that before. Big brother, continue playing. I'm going out with Freak, Lung Ruoxue said. Don't come back too late, Lung Ruhan reminded worriedly. Yes, sir. Lung Ruoxue left the general's mansion with Freak. Schwer, where are we going? Freak was very curious. Is Schwer going on a date with me? I'm so happy. I want to visit the restaurant. Oh, let's go then. He wasn't too satisfied with Schwer's answer, but it was still acceptable. After walking for a few streets, Lung Ruoxue and Freak arrived at a not too bustling street. The restaurant she was going to open was located at the innermost part of this street. The location wasn't good, but it was very suitable for her. Moreover, she had bought all the shops around the restaurant. She planned to build the restaurant into a one-stop catering company open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, from soup to nuts. She believed that with the help of this restaurant, this street would absolutely become the most bustling in all of Phoenix City in the future. Lung Ruoxue and Freak arrived at the entrance of the restaurant. After renovations, the entire restaurant had become grand, noble, and elegant. When they saw the words, Prosperity Pavilion on the golden signboard, they were about to enter the shop, but someone stopped them. I'm sorry, you two. The restaurant hasn't officially opened yet, an ordinary-looking man in his 30s said very politely after stopping them. Let us take a look first, Lung Ruoxue said. I'm sorry, Mississippi. You should wait until we are officially open for business, the man said patiently. He was not so stunned by Lung Ruoxue's beauty that he lost his bearings. But his heart was racing because he could see that these two stunning people were either rich or noble and not people he could afford to offend. But it was his duty. If he really let them in, it would be a dereliction of duty. All right, we won't make things difficult for you then, Lung Ruoxue said understandingly and pulled Freak away to leave. Schwer, are we leaving just like that? Freak couldn't help asking. Otherwise. Lung Ruoxue raised her eyebrows. Not everyone among the soldiers had seen her before, and she didn't want to reveal her identity. Nothing. Let's go, Freak said after some thought. Hey Freak, is that Su Nair? Lung Ruoxue looked at the gorgeously dressed woman in the distance with uncertainty. Where? He didn't see anyone. She turned around that corner. Let's follow and take a look, Lung Ruoxue suggested because she was too curious. Su Nair wasn't alone. There was a young man beside her, and he looked familiar. Okay. The two of them walked quickly, caught up with Su Nair and the young man, and followed them into a civilian house. Lung Ruoxue got Rise to cast an invisibility spell on them and followed them directly into the house. After entering the house, Lung Ruoxue and Freak found chairs to sit down on, while Su Nair and the man directly sat on the bed. Sitting in the chair, Lung Ruoxue carefully examined the young man. This person looked a little like Big Brother Feng. He was more handsome, but his temperament is much worse. Moreover, there was a brutal aura between his brows and two obvious dark circles under his eyes. One look and she could tell that he was someone who overindulged. Nair, my darling little darling, you haven't come to look for Big Brother for a long time. The man pulled Su Nair into his arms impatiently and began to caress her. Chapter 148, Su Nair 3, Big Brother Qingran, you're so naughty. Don't be so impatient. Let's get down to business first. Su Nair smiled coquettishly and avoided the man's advances while hiding the disgust in her eyes. Qingran? Feng Qingran. No wonder he resembles Big Brother Feng. So he is Big Brother Feng's cousin. But what business does Su Nair have with him? Lung Ruoxue couldn't help thinking. Business isn't as important as us, the man named Feng Qingran said indifferently, and his hands moved even more vigorously. Big Brother Qingran, Nair will be angry if you continue being like this. Su Nair's beautiful face became stern as she pretended to be angry. Tell me, my dear Nair. Big Brother is listening. Feng Qingran coaxed. Big Brother Qingran, let me finish. You definitely won't regret it. Su Nair smiled triumphantly with a lewd expression on her face. Really? Nair, if your words don't satisfy me, just wait to accept my punishment obediently. Feng Qingran said meaningfully. Big Brother Qingran, you have to believe Nair. When has Nair ever lied to you? Su Nair acted coquettishly with a smile as beautiful as a flower. Nair, tell me quickly. Feng Qingran said anxiously. Big Brother Qingran, Nair knows you like beautiful women, so I want to recommend one to you, Su Nair said mysteriously. Oh, is there anyone more beautiful than Nair? Feng Qingran lied through his teeth. He was the best at coaxing women. I knew it the moment I heard it. Big Brother Qingran is just coaxing me. Everyone knows that Shui Xinran is more beautiful than me. Su Nair pouted her pink lips in dissatisfaction. Shui Xinran had always been ranked on top of her, and now there was Lung Ruoxue. She was so pissed off. How can Shui Xinran compare to my Nair? Feng Qingran boasted shamelessly, not even batting an eyelid. Shui Xinran was beautiful, but she looked down on him. Big brother Qingran, you should have heard of Lung Ruoxue, right? Su Nair probed. That simpleton? Of course I've heard of her. I was even scolded by the first elder because of her. Feng Qingran's gaze suddenly became vicious when he heard the name Lung Ruoxue. I wouldn't have been grounded if it wasn't for her. Big brother Qingran, do you want revenge? Su Nair asked gently. Of course. He hated Lung Ruoxue and Feng Moran to the core now. Moreover, Feng Moran was his greatest rival, and they belonged to the same group. Big brother Qingran, you can take revenge as long as you think of a way to make Lung Ruoxue your woman, Su Nair said with a light smile, her eyes full of scheming. As long as Lung Ruoxue loses her virginity, Yichen won't be able to escape from my palm. I don't want that simpleton, Feng Qingran said disdainfully. She was still a simpleton in his eyes, even if she was already clear-headed. Big brother Qingran, you're so ill-informed. Lung Ruoxue is now the most popular genius on the Ling Feng continent. Moreover, she's even more beautiful than Shui Xinran. Su Nair explained softly. Really? Feng Qingran was in disbelief. Were they talking about the same person? But he was only released yesterday after being locked up for so long. How could he be so well informed? Would Nair lie to you about something like this? Lung Ruoxue is now known as the #1 beauty on the Ling Feng continent, and even Shui Xinran has to step aside. Su Nair pouted aggrievedly. My dear Naya, it's not that Big Brother doesn't believe you. You know that I was grounded. Isn't it normal that I don't know about these things since the first elder only cancelled the confinement order on me yesterday? In order to coax the beauty, Feng Qingran didn't care at all about how embarrassing it was to be grounded. Okay, I'll forgive Big Brother Qingran then, Su Nair said understandingly. That's my good Naya. Come, let Big Brother kiss you, Feng Qingran said with lust. Big Brother Qingran wait? Su Nair dodged, feeling disgusted. Nair, is that Lung Ruoxue really as beautiful as you said? Feng Qingran asked doubtfully as he embraced Su Nair. Of course. Nair has never seen a woman as beautiful as her. Su Nair said with slight jealousy, her beautiful little face fuming with anger. Nair, do you want Lung Ruoxue to become my woman because of the 7th prince? Feng Qingran asked with some jealousy. Seeing the obvious jealousy on her face, he actually believed her words. But he felt a little uncomfortable thinking that Su Nair might be doing this for the 7th prince. Of course not. I have had nothing to do with the 7th prince for quite some time. I only came up with this idea to help Big Brother Qingran take revenge, Su Nair said very sincerely. Why would I do this for the 7th prince? I'm doing it all for the sake of that heavenly man. Just thinking about how that man would one day belong to her excited her so much that her heart itched like a cat was scratching it. My darling Nair is so considerate of Big Brother. I am so happy. What does Nair want me to do? Feng Qingran asked with a perverted look. He wasn't a fool. How could he have become the young master of the Feng family otherwise? He didn't believe that Su Nair didn't have any motives and only wanted to help him seek revenge. We just need to find a chance to make her become Big Brother Qingran's woman. At that time, it will be impossible for her not to marry you. As long as she becomes your woman, won't General Lung side with you? With the Lung family, Big Brother Qingran's position as the young master will be even more unshakable, Su Nair analyzed. She had been having this illicit affair with Feng Qingran for so long that he knew this man's ambition very well. Moreover, the Lung family's status was now rising, and the family's momentum was strong. She didn't believe that Feng Qingran wouldn't be moved. Nair is right. But I don't know Lung Ruoxue. If I ask her out, she might not agree. At this point, Feng Qingran felt a little awkward. Nair's proposal was indeed tempting, but there were no conditions for it to be realized. Chapter 149, Su Nair's End 4, Big Brother Qingran, you can hold a banquet in the name of the Feng family and then ask Feng Moran to invite her, Su Nair suggested. She had already thought of an idea. Nair, you're so smart, Feng Qingran said happily. Given the relationship between Feng Moran and Lung Ruoxu, he didn't believe that she wouldn't give him any face. It's all for Big Brother Qingran. Su Nair acted coquettishly and shyly. My Nair is so considerate of Big Brother. I should reward you well. Then he threw Su Nair onto the bed. Sitting on the chair listening to their conspiracy, Freak was trembling with rage. If Schwer hadn't calmed him down, he would have stepped forward to kill this adulterous couple. How dare they plot against my Schwer? They really don't want their lives anymore. I won't let them off. Lung Ruoxue dragged the angry Freak out of the house and into the yard. Freak, don't be angry. They won't have a good ending, Lung Ruoxue coaxed. In fact, she was also angry, but she had always been relatively calm. Moreover, she had to think of a good way to kill them. Otherwise, wouldn't it be letting them off too lightly? Schwer, wait for me. They'll be back soon. Freak turned around and entered the room. Freak. Could it be that he wants to see some steamy action? Lung Ruoxue guessed randomly. A few minutes later, Freak emerged contentedly. Freak, is the show over so soon? Lung Ruoxue said doubtfully. This Feng Qingran is too useless. He looks tall and strong, but it's just for show. What's over so soon? Freak looked at Lung Ruoxue in confusion. Steamy action. Schwer, I'm a pure child. How can you suspect that I went to see that? There were a few black lines on Freak's forehead, and his little face was slightly red. Why did you go in then? Lung Ruoxue was curious. Didn't he leave me alone because he was afraid I would see it? I added something to liven things up, Freak said very implicitly, his face a little unnatural. Do you want him to? Lung Ruoxue wanted to laugh at the thought that he might do this. It would be a huge blow to any man if he suddenly couldn't perform at the critical moment. No. How could I do that? Freak believed that he was a very kind child, so he wouldn't ruin others' enjoyment. No? What is it then? Lung Ruoxue couldn't think of anything interesting. I gave them something that would make them unable to stop, Freak said mysteriously, his face saying, I'm kind. Could it be? Lung Ruoxue was speechless, and cold sweat dripped down her forehead non-stop. Freak really has abnormal tastes. Tell me, why do you have that thing? Lung Ruoxue suddenly remembered something and grabbed Freak's clothes to interrogate him. Muli gave this to me for protection. Freak betrayed him without hesitation. Do you need this for protection? Lung Ruoxue glared at him. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old kid? I'm not that easy to fool. Yes. Not only can you protect yourself, but you can also punish bad people, Freak said hurriedly. Schwer, you have to trust me. I won't use this thing to do bad things, Freak promised with a very sincere expression on his face. Fine. They'll believe you this once. Let's go back. Lung Ruoxue said in disgust. The sound coming from the room was a little piercing. After Lung Ruoxue and Freak returned to the general's mansion, they went straight to the garden. Feng De and the others were preparing dinner. Miss, you're back just in time. Dinner is about done, Feng De said when he saw Lung Ruoxue. What are we having for dinner tonight? Lung Ruoxue couldn't help asking. It looks like we're going to have hot pot again. Didn't we just have it last night? Hot pot. Big Brother Wang made it for us to try, Feng De explained. Are we going to be guinea pigs again? But it seems like it should be pretty good, Lung Ruoxue thought. When everything was ready, Lung Ruoxue and the others found seats to sit down. But everyone just looked at each other, and no one touched their chopsticks. Why aren't you eating? Lung Ruoxue looked at the big fellows curiously. Miss, please eat first. As your subordinates, we only dare to start eating after you, Lin Yuan said ingratiatingly. But his words obviously attracted several disdainful gazes. It looks good. Everyone hurry up and eat. Lung Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Do these guys really think that I wouldn't know that they obviously want me to be the first guinea pig? But what they didn't know was that seasoning was more important than hot pot. Seeing Lung Ruoxue and Freak eating nonstop, Feng De and the others swallowed their saliva and started eating as well. To be honest, it was not that they didn't want to give Big Brother Wang and the others face, but they had just learned how to make hot pot yesterday. If you're worried, you can just swish it, Leng Ruoxue kindly reminded. Hee hee, if Miss isn't worried, what are we worried about? Feng De said awkwardly. Then eat quickly. Eat more, Leng Ruoxue said with concern. Just like that, everyone ate the most from the spicy hot pot in order to show their guts. In the end, the next day, everyone except Leng Ruoxue, Yichen, Leng Ruhan, and Feng Moran had stomachaches. Miss, why did nothing happen to you? Feng De said aggrievedly with a crying face as he dragged his weak body in front of Leng Ruoxue and the others. He had had diarrhea for the past 3 days. We have good character. Leng Ruoxue smiled sweetly. Diarrhea for 3 days only is already showing mercy. Yes, it's character. Freak approved of Schwer's words. Big Brother Feng, please continue. Leng Ruoxue turned to Feng Moran. Okay. Schwer, Su Nair and Feng Qingran died. They died together. Feng Moran told Schwer and the others the news he had heard with a slightly unnatural expression. Chapter 150. Su Nair's End 5. Leng Ruoxue and Freak exchanged glances, but neither of them spoke. How did they die? Feng De asked curiously. How could these two die together? Overindulgence, Feng Moran said uncomfortably. I knew that Su Nair wasn't a good person. But isn't it a little too easy for her to die like this? Feng De said with a laugh. He had never had a good impression of Su Nair. Moreover, that woman was their young lattice enemy, so hearing the news of that woman's death only made him feel less resentful. Big Brother Feng, how did the Feng family react? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. The two big families would never allow such a scandal to spread. The Feng family sealed the news immediately after finding out about this. However, it still spread. Probably at least half of the people on the entire Ling Feng continent know about it now, Feng Moran said helplessly. Good things didn't come out the door, while bad things spread far and wide. This scandal spread faster than they had imagined, practically at the speed of light. This is the celebrity effect. Leng Ruoxue exclaimed. Schwer, the Feng family will hold a funeral for Feng Qingran 3 days later, Feng Moran continued. The first elder even asked him to invite Schwer, but he really couldn't bring himself to ask. After something like this happened, they still want to hold a funeral? Leng Ruoxue said in disbelief. It's enough to bury him quietly. Why do they still need to hold a funeral? Don't they find it embarrassing enough? Schwer, you don't understand. It's precisely because of this that they have to make it a big deal. After all, one of them is the young master of the Feng family, and the other is the most favored young lady of the Su family. The Su family and the Feng family can use the two of them being in love to cover up this scandal. If they quietly settle the two of them, it will really be an affair, and more people will laugh at them, Leng Ruhan explained. Oh, people in this world really have different ideas. In fact, Leng Ruoxue thought that it would be better to deal with this matter quietly. After all, no scandal could withstand the test of time. After a long time, no one would care about such things. But for people like the Feng family and the Su family who were so ostentatious, no one could forget them even if they wanted to. Schwer, the first elder invited you to the funeral 3 days later, Feng Moran said after some hesitation. Oh, don't worry, Big Brother Feng. I will go, Leng Ruoxue answered quickly. She would think of a way to go even if he didn't invite her. It would be a waste not to watch the excitement. Moreover, there should be many influential families attending, so it was time for her to go and recognize people. But Feng Moran was a little worried. Big Brother Feng, don't worry. I won't bully them, Leng Ruoxue teased. Schwer, I'm not worried that you will bully them. I'm just afraid that they will pester you, Feng Moran explained. They'll be there. Don't worry, Freak promised. With me around, I'll kill whoever dares to pester Schwer without mercy. And drug them too. 3 days later, Leng Ruoxue Yichen, Feng De, and Lin Yuan came to the Feng family's main residence to attend the funeral. In a corner outside the Feng family residence, there are so many people. Looking at the people entering and exiting, Lin Yuan was surprised. How many people did the Feng family invite? They were indeed worthy of being a top aristocratic family. They aren't just guests from the Feng family. There are also guests from the Su family, Leng Ruoxue explained. In order to confirm that the two of them were absolutely in love, they organized their funerals together. Of course, they were also buried together. However, who knew how many people would believe their deceitful method? Miss, when should we go in? Feng De was a little puzzled. Why isn't Miss going in? What's there to see here? What's the hurry? It's not time yet. Leng Ruoxue glared at Feng De with displeasure. Oh, Miss is so fierce. Let's go in. Leng Ruoxue said after looking around and seeing that almost everyone had arrived. With the invitation card, Leng Ruoxue and the others were respectfully led into the inner hall by the servants. They found a random seat and sat down. Are you Leng Ruoxue? An extremely unfriendly voice sounded in Leng Ruoxue's and the others' ears. After hearing this voice, Leng Ruoxue raised her eyes slightly and saw a young woman standing in front of her. This woman was dressed in bright red, had a face as beautiful as a peach blossom, a sexy body, and a proud temperament. She was staring at her with some ill intent. Upon seeing this situation, Leng Ruoxue was at a loss for words. Who is this woman? Did I get shot while lying down? Don't tell me I have a face that invites trouble? Leng Ruoxue, I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? The woman shouted in displeasure. The woman's arrogant scream immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the inner hall. Everyone looked at them in bewilderment. So that's Leng Ruoxue? She's even more beautiful than the rumors say, someone whispered to the person beside him, stunned. I just don't know what this princess of the Yi family wants to do. How can Leng Ruoxue be easy to push around? The person beside him answered softly. The crowd gossiped among themselves in whispers, but most of them wanted to watch a good show. Go and ask your elder sister to come back. Leng Ruoxue isn't someone she can offend, Hua Qing whispered to Yi Shao in a corner of the inner hall. She has always been capricious. It's not something I can manage, Yi Shao said a little lamely. He didn't want to meddle in Yi Mei's affairs. Seeing Yi Shao couldn't even be bothered with Yi Mei, Hua Qing didn't care about it as an outsider. Anyway, Yi Mei's life and death had nothing to do with him. So, you are talking to me? Do I know you? Leng Ruoxue slowly raised her head after a while. She could hear the discussions of the crowd, but she didn't expect this woman to be from the Yi family. I am Yi Mei, the princess of the Yi family, Yi Mei said proudly. What does it have to do with me who you are to the Yi family? Leng Ruoxue looked at Yi Mei in confusion. What a narcissistic woman. Chapter 151. The First Elder's Condition, 1. You are the future daughter-in-law of a side branch of the Yi family. How dare you be rude to the eldest young lady of the Yi family's main branch? You really can't differentiate between who's higher and who's lower, Yi Mei roared with displeasure. She very self-righteously believed that her status was incomparably noble in front of Leng Ruoxue. In the future daughter-in-law of the Yi family? Leng Ruoxue looked at Freak with a puzzled face. No, the Yi family has nothing to do with me, Freak said indifferently without even blinking. How dare you, the lowly son of a concubine, look down on the family? Yi Mei's anger rose, and she screamed without thinking. But her words instantly offended many people present. What's wrong with being the child of a concubine? Could it be that Miss Yi really thinks that you're the biological daughter just because you were raised by the main wife? Leng Ruoxue said mockingly. Yi Mei was trembling with anger. She would never have imagined that she would be humiliated instead of humiliating Leng Ruoxue. Moreover, she couldn't figure out how Leng Ruoxue knew that her background, which she had been hiding, had always been a thorn in her heart. Miss Yi, before you want to cause trouble for others, you should weigh your own strength first. Otherwise, you will only be inviting humiliation, Leng Ruoxue said with some annoyance as her cold gaze gently swept across the crowd. She really had enough of these women. Yi Mei was so angry that she stammered speechlessly and her chest kept heaving up and down. The first elder of the Feng family is here, someone shouted. Everyone's eyes immediately turned to the main seat, and no one cared about the fighting between women anymore. Hee hee, thank you all for taking time out to send off a pair of lovers from our Feng family and Su family. I am the first elder of the Feng family, and I am standing in for the acting patriarch because he is in too much grief over the loss of his beloved son. Therefore, I am fully responsible for today's funeral. The first elder of the Feng family walked to the front of the main seat and said a few polite words. Then his narrow eyes looked around the inner hall with a restrained gaze. After his gaze met Lung Ruoxu's, it flashed slightly, and he nodded gently. When his gaze turned to Yi Mei, who was in a bright red dress, it turned dark and unclear. Brother Yi, why did your daughter come here in red? Hui Yi, sitting beside Yi Ming, gloated. Even though the Feng and Su families were treating the funeral as a happy event, coming here in red clothes was not giving face to the host at all. Wasn't this an obvious insult to the host? He saw the first elder's expression change just now. Didn't they say that this is a happy occasion? Since it's a happy occasion, of course you have to dress brightly, Yi Ming said nonchalantly. It was already very polite of the Yi family to be willing to come. Who dared to say any irresponsible remarks? Brother Yi is wise. Hui Yi obediently closed his mouth and stopped talking. After a series of formalities, it was time for the burial. Feng Qingran and Su Nair would be buried together in the Feng family's graveyard. However, such an incident wouldn't give them a good position, so their burial location was rather remote. Miss, is it over? Feng De, standing at the back of the crowd, couldn't help asking. I don't know. This was Lung Ruoxu's first time attending a funeral in this other world, so how could she understand these things? It's not over yet. Hu Qing walked over. What else? Lung Ruoxue asked lightly. The banquet is the most important thing, Hu Qing explained. The funeral was just for show since they weren't important people anyway. But the banquet was different. It was the best time for families to socialize and form connections with each other. Okay. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Hopefully, something interesting will happen. She only came because she wanted the world to be in chaos after all. Ruoxue, why did you leave the Heavenly Phoenix Academy? Hu Qing complained with a face full of disappointment. What does this have to do with you? Freak retorted coldly. Don't even think about having any ideas about my Schwer. I'm asking Ruoxue, not you, Hu Qing said good-naturedly. He knew that Yichen didn't like him. In fact, he didn't like Yichen either. Schwer, Freak at Schwer aggrievedly, his eyes looking as though they would rain at any moment. I didn't have much more to learn at the Heavenly Phoenix Academy, so I left. But I'm still considered a student of the academy, Lung Ruoxue explained while also rolling her eyes at Freak. This damn Freak is threatening me again. Then can I still look for you to spar? Hu Qing said it with certainty even though it was a question. It's best not to. You will only cause me trouble. Lung Ruoxue refused directly without giving him any face. She even looked at Yi Mei meaningfully. She hated trouble and rejected the source of all trouble. Don't worry. I'll handle it, Hu Qing said with a wry smile. That's your business, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. Elder sister Yi, am I right? Not far away, Shui Xinran looked at the two happily chatting and said to Yi Mei beside her with raging jealousy. What's so good about Lung Ruoxue? Why does big brother Hu Qing like her? Yi Mei said indignantly. Lung Ruoxue had just revealed her background, so she hated her to the core. That vixen is the best at seducing men, Shui Xinran said with disdain. Ever since she accidentally heard that the Hua family once proposed marriage to the Lung family, she had been unable to remain calm. The current Lung Ruoxue had already become a thorn in her flesh. Poor Lung Ruoxue. She didn't know that she was being treated as an imaginary enemy. If she knew, she would definitely run away from the big trouble, Hu Qing, preferably as far away as possible. Everyone, please come with this old man to the main hall for a meal. The Feng family's first elder said with a face full of gratitude after the burial. Lung Ruoxue followed everyone to the main hall. They found their seats and sat down. After sitting down, Lung Ruoxue realized that the Feng family had actually arranged their seats with the members of the 5 great families and the imperial families. There were 10 people sitting at the table. In addition to the 4 of them, there was Feng Moran, Hu Qing, Shui Xinran, Yi Shao, And Yi Mei. Lung Ruoxue didn't recognize the other person. Chapter 152, The First Elder's Condition, 2, Big Brother Feng, why did you arrange for us to sit at the same table? Lung Ruoxue asked Feng Moran softly. Big Brother Feng should know that I don't like getting involved with these people, right? This was the First Elder's idea. He said that we young people should interact more, Feng Moran said helplessly. In fact, his eldest uncle had already been controlled by the First Elder. Now, everything in the entire Feng family was under the First Elder's control except for his grandfather, who was in seclusion. Different paths lead to different plans, Lung Ruoxue said lightly. They were not on the same channel, so there was no way to communicate. Swear, the dishes are actually all your favorite, Freak said from Lung Ruoxue's other side as he watched the dishes being served one after another. Oh. Lung Ruoxue nodded and looked at Feng Moran. Is the Feng family's First Elder showing me goodwill? Everyone, thank you for gracing us with your presence today. This old man would like to propose a toast to everyone. The Feng family's First Elder drained his cup in a forthright manner. First Elder is too polite, someone said. Yes. While everyone was eating, Lung Ruoxue, who was sitting at the neighboring table, quietly sized up the First Elder of the Feng family. This First Elder had good facial features, looked kind, and was slightly chubby. He was not tall, but the shrewdness in his eyes couldn't be concealed. Moreover, this First Elder was a spiritual supremacy. She had long heard that the First Elder of the Feng family didn't care about anything. But for some reason, after Big Brother Feng returned to the Feng family, the First Elder, who had always been inactive, suddenly became aggressive. First, he grounded the young master of the Feng family, and then he seized the power of the acting patriarch. No one knew what the First Elder's motive was, but they heard that the First Elder treated Big Brother Feng quite well. Miss Lung, are you not satisfied with the food today? The Feng family's First Elder walked over after sensing Lung Ruoxue's scrutinizing gaze. Of course not. I'm very satisfied. Lung Ruoxue was instead displeased with the people at her table. But Miss Lung didn't even eat, the First Elder said very honestly, and his eyes flashed. This is a cunning little fox. Hee, I almost forgot to eat after seeing First Elder's heroic appearance. Lung Ruoxue said nonsense without the slightest embarrassment. Miss Lung is really good with words, the First Elder said with a smile, and his already small eyes narrowed even more. Thank you for the compliment, First Elder. Miss Lung, please enjoy. I won't disturb you any further. Then the First Elder returned to his seat. Lung Ruoxue looked at the table full of dishes. She picked up her chopsticks and was just about to take a piece of fish when it was snatched away. When she wanted to take another piece, it was snatched away again. What do you mean by this? Lung Ruoxue questioned directly with a cold face, feeling very displeased. I don't mean anything. I just want to eat. Yi Mei looked at Lung Ruoxue cockily. Swear, I'll get you a piece. Let's not bicker with a pig. Freak quickly coaxed her and placed a piece of meat on her plate. That's right. There's no need to make a fuss with a pig. We have to let the pig eat more to fatten it up for the kill, Lung Ruoxue said mockingly. Ha ha. Her words made Feng De laugh uncontrollably. After hearing what Lung Ruoxue said, the others held back their laughter for the sake of the Yi family's face, but their trembling shoulders betrayed them. Damn it! Who are you calling a pig? Yi Meihor roared. Was Lung Ruoxue looking for trouble? Don't you know? Is there a need to ask? Lung Ruoxue asked in return as she looked at the plate full of food in front of Yi Mei. Miss Lung, isn't it too much to call a girl a pig? Yi Ming, who was sitting at the neighboring table, said with some displeasure. Father, Lung Ruoxue is finding trouble with me. You have to uphold justice for your daughter. Yi Mei became full of confidence when she saw her father backing her up. Is this a classic case of the guilty suing the other party first? There are so many pairs of eyes watching. Everyone knows who the one finding trouble is. There's no need to argue, Lung Ruoxue said calmly, not paying attention to this father and daughter's acting at all. Despicable people doing bad things was not worth mentioning. Lung Ruoxue, do you mean I've wronged you? Yi Mei said aggrievedly. Miss Yi, I don't mean anything. but you can continue if you're not afraid of embarrassment. I won't entertain you. Lung Ruoxue said coldly with disdain in her eyes. Let's go back. Lung Ruoxue stood up, glanced at the first elder, and then turned to leave. She came to see a joke, not to be treated as one. Okay. Freak and the other two quickly stood up and left with Lung Ruoxue. Schwer, wait for me. Feng Moran chased after her. Schwer, I'm so sorry. Feng Moran caught up with Lung Ruoxue and the others at the door. His face was full of guilt. I shouldn't have gotten Schwer to come. Big brother Feng, what are you saying? This isn't your fault. The Yi family wants to find trouble with me, Lung Ruoxue comforted. I'll go back with you. Feng Moran looked at Lung Ruoxue. Big brother Feng, you are the host, Lung Ruoxue reminded. How could the host be as casual as a guest? It doesn't matter. I don't care. Big brother Feng, Feng Qingran is dead, and you might become the Feng family's young master, Lung Ruoxue said with realization. In her opinion, the first elder's actions had already explained his intentions. Schwer, I'm not interested in becoming the young master of the Feng family. I swore to follow you forever, Feng Moran explained anxiously. Big brother Feng, I understand. But I really don't mind you becoming the Feng family's young master, Lung Ruoxue expressed her thoughts. But I really don't want to be the young master, Feng Moran said with a slight headache. In fact, he vaguely knew what the first elder was thinking, but he had been pretending to be stupid. Big brother Feng, think about it carefully. Well, go back first, Lung Ruoxue advised, not wanting him to regret it in the future. Okay, you go back first. I'll be back tomorrow, Feng Moran said quickly. Chapter 153, The First Elder's Condition, 3. Big brother, do you really not want to be the young master of the Feng family? Feng Oren appeared after Lung Ruoxue left. No, Feng Moran said softly as he glanced at his younger brother. But father, mother, and first elder all hope that you can, Feng Oren hesitated. Ever since his eldest brother returned, his parents, who had been sent to the countryside by his eldest uncle, were brought back by the first elder. Their father also regained his identity and status as the second master of the Feng family. Their second branch rose again, and the eldest branch gradually declined under the suppression of the first elder and the others. The current situation was the best for their second branch, so Feng Oren knew that his father would definitely not want to let go of this opportunity at hand. His brother was definitely going to become the young master. Oren, I'm staying in the Feng family temporarily for you. I don't care what they think. I won't be the young master of the Feng family. Father can be the patriarch if he wants, but don't use me as a bargaining chip, Feng Moran said bluntly to Feng Aoren. This was probably the first time he told his younger brother his thoughts so clearly. He had grown up in an influential family and had experienced the fickleness of human nature. Therefore, he would never let others use him now, even if they were his parents. Big brother, if you don't become the young master, then there's no one else in our Feng family, Feng Oren said worriedly. His brother was now the most outstanding person among the Feng family's younger generation. If his brother was unwilling to become the family's young master, then the Feng family. Who says there's no one? Isn't there still you? Oren, I want to follow Schwer. I won't be by your side forever. Feng Moran knew that his brother's dependence had become a little stronger because of him, so he had to make Oren realize it. The future of the Feng family was not in his hands, and he had always regarded himself as a passerby of the Feng family. Big brother, I don't really want to be the young master either, Feng Oren said honestly. In fact, it had not been a day or two since he had such thoughts. His days with Ruoxue and the others were short, but he was really envious of the atmosphere between them. It was so harmonious and warm. Such an atmosphere was simply not experienced in large families. Oren, Feng Moran didn't expect his brother to have such thoughts. Big brother, may I follow you? Feng Oren looked at Feng Moran expectantly. Feng Moran was stunned by Feng Oren's words, and it took a long time for him to come back to his senses. Did I hear it right? Oren, you want to follow me? Feng Moran asked to confirm. I don't want to be the young master. I just want to follow Big Brother, Feng Aoren said seriously word by word. Aoran, neither the first elder nor our parents will agree if both of us go, Feng Moran said helplessly. He could already imagine his parents' angry faces. I believe Big Brother will think of a way to convince the first elder, Feng Oran said cunningly with a fox-like smile on his face. Hee, I know that Big Brother agrees since he is willing to say this. Oran, let's make a deal. If I can't convince the first elder, you have to stay in the Feng family obediently. Feng Moran said the ugly words in advance to prevent his brother from crying and making a fuss later. Yes. Feng Oran nodded obediently. But he wouldn't stay at home and become a puppet. At worst, he would run away from home. After the guests gradually dispersed, Feng Moran went directly to the first elder. In the first elder's room. Moran, why are you looking for me? The first elder asked even though he knew the answer. First elder, thank you for your love, but I really can't be the young master of the Feng family, Feng Moran said directly. Feng Qingran was dead, but the selection of the young master of the Feng family wouldn't be delayed. Not only that, but it had to be decided in the shortest time possible to reduce the impact of Feng Qingran's death. Do you know what you are saying? The first elder asked expressionlessly, but the displeasure in his voice was obvious. I know. I hope first elder will agree. Feng Moran was still very respectful to the first elder. Do you know how many people are eyeing this position? I know, but am really not suitable. Feng Moran lowered his stance. If you're not suitable, then no one is. The first elder snorted and glared at Feng Moran. A spiritual sovereign with a divine beast actually said that he wasn't qualified to be the young master of the family. Who was qualified then? A divine beast? Even he didn't have one. First elder, the family is full of talents. There will be someone more suitable than me, Feng Moran said very modestly. Fine. I will let you go as long as you can find me a spiritual sovereign with a divine beast. The first elder deliberately made things difficult. First elder. Feng Moran was speechless. Does first elder have to make things so difficult for me? Even if he could find someone with aptitude comparable to Huaqing, divine beasts were not cabbages. Where could he find a divine beast? I only have this one condition. The first elder narrowed his eyes, not looking at Feng Moran, making it clear that there was no room for negotiation. First elder, please rest. Feng Moran smiled bitterly as he exited the first elder's room, his face full of helplessness. After returning to his room, he saw Feng Oran waiting for him. Big brother, how was it? Feng Oran hurriedly asked. I failed. Feng Moran shook his head helplessly. What did the first elder say? Feng Oran couldn't help asking. The first elder, Feng Moran told his brother the condition that the first elder proposed. This condition is really too harsh. How is that possible? Feng Oran cried out speechlessly. This was clearly forcing him. It was too much. Big brother, what should we do now? Feng Oran's pitch-black eyes stared at Feng Moran. He didn't have any good ideas. He was counting on his brother. Let's take it one step at a time. Feng Moran didn't have any ideas now. Big brother, actually, I think you can look for Ruoxue. She might have a way, Feng Oran suggested. Chapter 154. The First Elder's Condition, 4. I don't want her to know about this. Feng Moran said lightly. He owed Shuer enough. He really didn't have the face to make her worry about his own affairs. Okay. While the two brothers were discussing, someone suddenly knocked on the door. Feng Moran gave his brother a look, and Feng Oran went to open the door. Dad, Mom, why are you here? Feng Oran pretended to be stupid. Aor, we're here to look for Moer, Su Qi, their mother, said. Oh, Big brother is preparing to sleep. Dad, Mom, let's not disturb him, Feng Oran said to his parents very understandingly. Move aside. We have something important to tell your brother, Feng Rue said with a displeased face. Oran, let father and mother in. Feng Moran shouted from the inner room. He heard what the three of them said. Oh, Dad, Mom, please come in. Stinky brat, what the hell are you doing? You actually don't want to be the young master of the Feng family? Feng Rue walked into the inner room angrily and immediately scolded Feng Moran fiercely. I'm not interested in becoming the young master of the Feng family. Leave this position to those who want it. Feng Moran said without a care. In fact, he had expected his parents' reaction. Do you know what you're saying? I think you must be exhausted. Don't go out for the time being and just stay at home. When you stop talking nonsense, I'll let you out, Feng Rui said domineeringly. I know what I'm saying. It's just that you don't want to admit it, Feng Moran said nonchalantly. This was the so-called familial affection among top families. Everything was for benefits. A son was a good son when he had value. When he couldn't satisfy their requests, he would become an abandoned son. Fortunately, he had long been indifferent to this kind of familial affection. During his stay in the Feng family, his parents always said that they wanted to compensate him and care for him, but he knew very well that his parents were using him for their own benefits. He had already become his father's biggest bargaining chip in becoming the patriarch. He knew that as long as he became the young master of the Feng family, the first elder would support his father in becoming the patriarch. But because he refused, his father's position as the patriarch was very likely to be lost. Otherwise, his father wouldn't be so angry. Presumably, the first elder had already communicated with his father. You unfilial son, I raised you for nothing. Feng Rui roared as his face turned purple with anger. He really couldn't understand why, but the first elder just happened to favor his son for the position of the young master out of the many who were eyeing it. Yet this unfilial son of his was actually unwilling to do such a good thing. It really pissed him off. Father, you've raised me for more than a decade, and I've also left home for more than a decade. But during the time that I was back, you've gained a lot from using me, so I don't owe you anything anymore, Feng Moran said helplessly. He really didn't want to say such heartless words if possible, but, why? Your wings have hardened, and I can't control you anymore, right? Feng Rui pointed at Feng Moran, and the veins on his face bulged as he panted heavily. Moer, how can you talk to your father like that? Look at how angry you made him. Hurry up and apologize to your father, Su Qi said with displeasure. In fact, she used to dote on this eldest son of hers. But she had stopped paying attention to him ever since his poor result in the aptitude test. However, never in her wildest dreams did she expect that her eldest son, whom she had neglected, would return to the Feng family after leaving home for more than a decade. Moreover, he became so talented and even had a divine beast. The couple couldn't help but see hope due to this. Furthermore, the first elder had promised them that as long as Feng Moran became the young master of the Feng family, the next patriarch of the Feng family would definitely be Feng Rui. They knew their eldest son's feelings for them, and the Feng family had faded after being ignored for so long, so they had been thinking of ways to make up for it. But Feng Qingren's sudden death made the matter more urgent. Their original plan to cultivate feelings anew was disrupted, and Feng Moran said that he didn't want to be the young master, making the couple panic. They had suggested to the first elder that they should act first before announcing the matter. This way, Feng Moran would have no choice but to do it. But the first elder was very opposed to this idea. The first elder wanted Feng Moran to do it willingly because he felt that Feng Moran would only seriously consider the interests of the Feng family if he acknowledged his identity. Father, I'm sorry. I won't be the young master of the Feng family, Feng Moran reiterated. He never hoped that his parents could understand him, but he also didn't want to be a pawn in their hands. You, husband, don't be angry. Let's go back first. Let Moer consider it carefully. Perhaps he will think it through himself. Su Qi patted Feng Rui's back gently to persuade him. All right, unfilial son, reconsider it yourself. Feng Rui roared and left Feng Moran's room angrily with Su Qi's help. Big brother. Feng Oren looked at his brother worriedly. Alas, he didn't expect his parents to react so strongly. He was a little scared just now. I'm fine, Storn. Go back to your room and sleep, Feng Moran said, not wanting his brother to worry. Big brother, rest early too. Feng Oren closed the door for Feng Moran and left the room. In the main hall of General Leng's mansion. Miss, as you expected, the Su family really took Su Nair's corpse away. Feng De looked at Leng Ruoxue with admiration. This was the report he obtained from the team he sent to monitor the Feng family. Isn't that normal? No one from the Su family showed up at the funeral. They were just embarrassed. The Su family has always been proud of their daughter. Now that this has happened, it's really hard to say if anyone will dare to marry their daughters in the future, Lung Ruoxue analyzed. She despised people who sold their daughters for benefits the most, and the Su family was just such a family. Chapter 155. The First Elder's Condition, 5. Miss, you are very proper, Feng De said flatteringly. Alright, it's getting late. Go to bed. Lung Ruoxue said to everyone when she saw that the news she wanted to know had been confirmed. She then turned around and returned to her room. The next day, Freak woke Lung Ruoxue up before she could get out of bed. Damn Freak, if there's nothing important, I will make you regret waking me up. Lung Ruoxue looked at the aggrieved Freak standing outside the door and threatened with gusto. Schwer, how can you shout at me? Boo. Schwer is so fierce. No wonder no one else dared to come. What is it? Tell me quickly. I still want to sleep. Lung Ruoxue said unhappily. She hated being woken up when she was sleeping soundly, even more so than being disturbed while eating. Feng Moran's parents want to see you, Freak said pitifully. See me? I don't know. They just said they have something very important to talk to you about, he explained. When he saw the pair of shifty-eyed parents, he knew that nothing good was going to happen. Ask them to wait for me in the living room. I'll be right there, Lung Ruoxue ordered. She had to give them some face since they were Big Brother Feng's parents. Yes, my queen. Freak received the queen's order and turned to leave reluctantly. After Lung Ruoxue washed up, she slowly walked to the living room. Lung Ruoxue saw a middle-aged couple sitting and chatting with Freak as she entered the living room. But he looked indifferent and seemed uninterested. Schwer, you're here? Freak's sharp eyes saw Lung Ruoxue, and he was excited. This couple was too difficult to deal with. They were clearly here to gather intelligence and asked him many questions, and some he didn't know how to answer. Lung Ruoxue looked at Freak's aggrieved appearance and was a little speechless. What happened to him? It's like someone bullied him. Does he have to be so exaggerated? Are you Big Brother Feng's parents? Lung Ruoxue walked to the middle-aged couple. Yes, you are Lung Ruoxue? Su Qi looked at Lung Ruoxue in amazement. She had long heard of Lung Ruoxue's great name, but she didn't expect her to be so beautiful in person. Moreover, she had done her son a favor. What if, she couldn't help thinking after seeing Lung Ruoxue. I am Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue looked at the middle-aged couple in front of her. The couple was about 40 years old. The man was handsome and had a tall stature, looking very similar to Big Brother Feng. As for the woman, she had a beautiful appearance and a noble temperament and looked very young. As for their strength, one was a spiritual sovereign, and the other was a spiritual monarch. The cold and serious Feng Rui merely nodded at Lung Ruoxue, while Su Qi was relatively enthusiastic. Ruoxue, since you address Moer as Big Brother, can you address us as Uncle and Auntie? Su Qi held Lung Ruoxue's hand warmly. Uncle, Auntie, hello. Ruoxue was rude. Lung Ruoxue said politely. Alas, they are Big Brother Feng's parents. I just don't know why they're looking for me. Hee, it's okay. We won't mind. After all, this is the first time we're meeting. Su Qi said understandingly. Uncle, Auntie, may I know why you're looking for Ruoxue today? Lung Ruoxue asked directly. Something did happen. Su Qi said, slightly embarrassed. Auntie, just tell me directly. Lung Ruoxue didn't want to beat around the bush and waste time. Since they were Big Brother Feng's parents, she would still help as long as their requests were not too unreasonable. Ruoxue, it's like this. You know that Qingran just passed away, but the position of the young master of the Feng family can't remain empty. So, what the first elder wants is for Moran to become the young master, Su Qi explained simply. That's a good thing. Lung Ruoxue echoed. Of course it's a good thing. It's a good thing that many people can't ask for, but that foolish child isn't willing. Tell me, is there anyone as foolish as him? Su Qi complained to Lung Ruoxue. Big Brother Feng isn't willing? Yes, he doesn't want to, so we would like to ask you to help and persuade him. He's indebted to you, so perhaps he will listen to you, Suchi suggested. This was something the couple had discussed all night. Auntie, it's not that I don't want to help. It's just that I've never liked to impose on others. If Big Brother Feng doesn't agree to it himself, I won't force him. Moreover, I don't have the right, Leng Ruoxue explained nicely. Ruoxue, we just want you to help us persuade him, not force him. You don't know how stubborn this child is. He can't fulfill the condition the first elder proposed, Su Qi said helplessly. What did the first elder propose? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. The first elder said he won't force Moer as long as he can find a spiritual sovereign with a divine beast among the younger generation of the Feng family, Su Qi said with a bitter and beautiful face full of worry. This condition is indeed very demanding. Leng Ruoxue nodded in agreement. However, it wasn't difficult for her, but, of course, even if you have outstanding aptitude, where can you get a divine beast? Even the first elder doesn't have a divine beast. Moer's divine beast was the only one in the Feng family. Therefore, Moer was very important to both the Feng family and the couple. Auntie, then I'll go with you to persuade Big Brother Feng. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. She couldn't leave Big Brother Feng alone. Okay. Su Qi immediately beamed with joy. She was waiting for her to say this. Leng Ruoxue and Freak followed Feng Rui and his wife to the Feng family's main residence. Ruoxue, I won't be going in with you, Su Qi said awkwardly. Okay. Leng Ruoxue looked at the guards guarding outside Big Brother Feng's yard, and a trace of understanding flashed in her heart. Chapter 156. The First Elder's Condition, 6. She walked to Feng Moran's room, knocked on the door, and entered with Freak. Schwer, why are you here? Feng Moran was surprised to see them. Your parents went to the general's mansion this morning, Freak said in a peculiar tone with a very unhappy expression. Schwer, don't listen to them. I really don't want to be the young master, Feng Moran explained anxiously. Big Brother Feng, I know. I'm not here to persuade you. Bring me to see the Feng family's first elder. Leng Ruoxue interrupted Feng Moran. Do you really want to see him? Yes. All right. But don't agree to any of the first elder's conditions for my sake, Feng Moran said with a warning look in his eyes. He owed Schwer enough. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Feng Moran brought Leng Ruoxue and Yi Chen to the first elder's residence. No one stopped him on the way. All of you wait outside. Only Miss Leng is allowed to enter, the first elder in the house instructed. Schwer, Freak grabbed Leng Ruoxue, who was about to enter the house, and glared at the dirty old geezer in the house with displeasure. This old pervert actually only wants Schwer to see him alone. Be good and wait for me outside, Leng Ruoxue said as she walked into the house. First elder, what are your conditions? Tell me. Leng Ruoxue said bluntly. Miss Leng, to tell you the truth, our Feng family currently lacks reserve strength, and many of our descendants do not have good aptitude. Moran is the best in our younger generation, so under Moran's lead, our Feng family will definitely become more prosperous, the first elder said earnestly, his face full of anticipation. First elder, if Big Brother Feng wants to be the young master, I will certainly support him. But now, he doesn't want to do it himself, and I don't want anyone to force him. Leng Ruoxue told the first elder her thoughts. She hoped that everyone under her protection could live happily. The Feng family is the second great family. How honorable is it to become the young master of the Feng family? How did it become forcing him? The first elder was a little angry as he spoke. If such a thing happened to others, they would be overjoyed, but there was actually someone unwilling. He really couldn't understand. First elder, this might be an honor for others, but it's nothing for people who don't value fame and fortune. What Leng Ruoxue implied was that Feng Moran was someone who didn't value fame and fortune. He will regret it in the future, the first elder roared. It wasn't easy for him to finally favor a junior of the family. That's his own choice, Leng Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Since he had chosen, there was no need to regret. After all, everyone had to be responsible for their choices. There was no medicine for regret in the world. Since you call him Big Brother, shouldn't you plan for his future? The first elder questioned with a glare and released a slight trace of his might. I am planning for his future. Big Brother Feng is a person who yearns for freedom. I can't let him be bound in this mansion and yard to lead a depressed life unless it's his own choice, Lung Ruoxue said indifferently, not at all afraid of the first elder's might. It's fine if he doesn't want to be the young master. I still have the same condition, the first elder said without relenting. First elder, why make things so difficult for Big Brother Feng? You just want to find a young master for the Feng family, Lung Ruoxue said. No one in the Feng family is more suitable than Moran, the first elder said stubbornly, his thoughts remaining unchanged. But Big Brother Feng doesn't want to do it. First elder, your condition is a little too much for Big Brother Feng. How about this? Let's negotiate a deal. Lung Ruoxue looked at the first elder with a face full of mystery. What deal? Unless my Feng family can produce a genius young master, there's no need to negotiate, the first elder said without any room for negotiation. This was already his lowest requirement. He also knew that a divine beast was a little unrealistic. What if I have a way to make the Feng family produce 100 geniuses? Lung Ruoxue threw out big bait. She didn't believe that this cunning old fox wouldn't take the bait. 100? Are you joking? How is that possible? The first elder didn't believe Lung Ruoxue could do it at all. I'm not joking. Nothing is impossible. I just don't know if first elder will agree or not. Lung Ruoxue waited patiently for the first elder's decision. If you can really do it, then I'll agree to it, the first elder said resolutely after thinking for a while and steeling his heart. First elder is a straightforward person, so I won't say anything unnecessary. Lung Ruoxue took out a small jade bottle and handed it to the first elder. What are these? Pills? The first elder opened it to take a look. There were about 100 pearl-like pills inside. These are remolding pills, Lung Ruoxue explained. Remolding pills? Miss Ling, do you think I don't know about pills? Everyone knows that remolding pills are the most useless pill on the Ling Feng continent and don't have good effects, the first elder said sullenly. First elder, how can you be as short-sighted as ordinary people? Since I said I would give you 100 geniuses, why would I lie to you? Lung Ruoxue said with slight displeasure. She knew very well that when dealing with people who had been in high positions for a long time, it was absolutely impossible to be too weak. Could it be that your remolding pills are different? The first elder asked with a puzzled look. These are true remolding pill. Otherwise, how do you think Big Brother Feng became a genius? Lung Ruoxue explained lightly. You're saying, the first elder quickly stopped talking. His face was full of excitement as he held the jade bottle tightly in his hand. This was true, then the Feng family. He simply didn't dare to imagine how powerful the Feng family would be in the future. First elder, there are 100 remolding pills inside. But I suggest you choose some descendants with good character to consume them. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if there are too many geniuses, Lung Ruoxue suggested very kindly. Thank you for your reminder, Miss Ling. I will choose wisely, the first elder said gratefully. To be honest, he did intend to choose some with better aptitudes to remold. After all, this was an unwritten rule of every family. But after hearing Lung Ruoxue's reminder, he couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. He couldn't imagine that if he really chose people according to his original plan, it would probably be nothing but a disaster for the Feng family. Chapter 157, A Deal with the First Elder, 1. Then Big Brother Feng, Miss Ling, don't worry. This old man won't force him anymore unless he wants to, the first elder said very naturally. I have another question. Did Miss Lung refine these pills yourself? The first elder probed. What does first elder think? Lung Ruoxue asked with a sweet smile on her face. She believed that the first elder was a smart person and would know what to do. I understand, the first elder said in realization. What a monster! After knowing that Lung Ruoxue was an artificer, he had decided to befriend her. Now he was even more. Miss Lung, our Feng family is willing to become allies with Miss Lung and advance and retreat together in the future, the first elder continued after a pause. Although he had not discussed this with the patriarch, he believed that the patriarch would definitely agree. First elder, you think too highly of me. I don't have any forces, Lung Ruoxue reminded. She didn't expect the identity of an alchemist to be so useful. Even the second great family came knocking on her door to request an alliance. No wonder those alchemists and the like were all so arrogant. Miss Lung is too modest. A few drops of cold sweat dripped down the first elder's forehead. What other forces did she need? As long as she revealed her identity, many powerhouses would knock on her door. First elder, I'm telling the truth. Lung Ruoxue really didn't think she was being humble because after thinking about it, she truly didn't have any forces other than Feng De and the others. Regardless of whether Miss Ling has any forces or not, our Feng family is willing to ally with Miss Ling, the first elder said very understandingly. Great aunt, this should be enough, right? Since first elder is so enthusiastic, then Ruoxue will accept. But the patriarch and acting patriarch of the Feng family, Lung Ruoxue said in puzzlement. She really wanted to know how much power the first elder had. Miss Ling, don't worry. The patriarch trusts me a lot. He won't object to anything I decide. As for the acting patriarch, he won't be for long, the first elder said confidently. He didn't think much of Feng Shao to begin with, what more now? First elder, a selfish and sinister person like Feng Shao will sooner or later be a scourge to the Feng family, Lung Ruoxue said bluntly after seeing that the first elder was reasonable. But what the first elder would do was not something she could control. I know, but he is the eldest son of the patriarch after all. So, even if he wanted to get rid of Feng Shao, he had to have a good reason. Otherwise, the patriarch might not say anything on the surface, but there would definitely be a barrier in his heart. It would be disadvantageous for the Feng family's development and not what he wanted to see. It's the Feng family's fortune to have someone like First Elder in the Feng family, Lung Ruoxue praised. This old man really does everything for the Feng family wholeheartedly, and he doesn't even have any selfish motives. Miss Ling truly thinks too highly of me. The First Elder smiled modestly, not minding it at all. First Elder, this is for you. Lung Ruoxue thought for a while, then took out 2 green pills and handed them to the First Elder. This old man was quite to her liking. Moreover, since the 2 families were going to ally, then this old man could also be considered one of them. What is this? The First Elder was a little skeptical as he received the 2 translucent green pills. What rich spiritual energy! Green spirit pills. Lung Ruoxue explained. Green spirit pills. For spirit beasts? The First Elder's eyes widened as he stared at Lung Ruoxue in disbelief. Although humans could also consume green spirit pills, the effects were not as good as spirit beasts consuming them. Moreover, even though green spirit pills were not difficult to concoct, the green spirit fruits used to concoct them were extremely difficult to find. Alas! Now I know why Moran has a divine beast. Lung Ruoxue is truly full of surprises. Seems like my decision was right. Yes, I heard First Elder has a level 9 holy beast. Lung Ruoxue nodded. Thank you Miss Ling on behalf of Sparrow Feather, the First Elder said gratefully. He was even happier than when he advanced to spiritual supremacy. Lung Ruoxue is truly my benefactor. The First Elder couldn't help sighing in his heart. First Elder, remember to find a deserted place to advance, Lung Ruoxue teased. This old man knows. He didn't want to make it known to everyone like General Lung. Oh right, First Elder, it's best not to let anyone know about our alliance, Lung Ruoxue said after some thought. Okay, I understand, the First Elder said understandingly. It seemed like Lung Ruoxue wanted to keep a low profile. But there were some things that were destined to be impossible to keep a low profile. In fact, he was mistaken. Lung Ruoxue wasn't trying to keep a low profile. She wanted to pretend to be weak to eat tigers. First Elder, I've completed my task. I'll take my leave first, Lung Ruoxue said after looking at the time. It was almost noon, and she was hungry. Miss Ling, it's almost noon. You have to stay for lunch. The First Elder urged her to stay. First Elder, there's no need to be so polite. All the major families are eyeing me covetously now. If I really stay, I'm afraid it will bring trouble to the Feng family, Lung Ruoxue said jokingly. In that case I won't force Miss Lung. You'll see. Before the first elder could finish, Lung Ruoxue interrupted him. First elder, I'm here to look for Big Brother Feng. All right then. The first elder knew that he was being despised and was depressed. You had to know how much face he would be giving her to see her out. Lung Ruoxue left the first elder's room and looked at Freak and Feng Moran guarding the door. Big Brother Feng, the matter has been resolved. Freak, let's go back. Okay. Shui, did you agree to the first elder's condition? Feng Moran couldn't help asking. Alas, I really didn't want Shui to worry about me. No, I just made a deal with him, Lung Ruoxue explained simply. What deal? Feng Moran asked quickly. He knew that this had happened. Otherwise, the first elder wouldn't have relented. It's a simple deal. Big Brother Feng, it's not what you think. Don't worry. Lung Ruoxue comforted him. This deal was indeed not difficult for her. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.